Hello, everybody. I'm really sorry about the problems there. For those of you who didn't read it in chat, it's just full kernel panic. The whole thing completely got screwed, so I had to wait for the kind of system to reboot itself. And it doesn't mean there's going to be a little bit of corruption in my save file, but it's never stopped me from doing an Iron Man playthrough. So we're finished with Crusader Kings 2 for tonight. Sorry if you guys wanted. I know it's kind of an abrupt end to the game, but we'll just we'll pick up the next game, the next week with crushing that rebellion. So we're talking a little bit about CCGs, and I know Hearthstone's a really popular game on Twitch, but this is a neat one. Now, I'm not going to do an online game. It's actually been a long time since I've played it. But I thought I'd show you guys one called Infinity Wars, which is kind of... Now, again, I like Hearthstone. I'm not very good at it. But what we're going to do for the next little bit, I'm going to do a couple of games that I don't stream as often, or games that would be kind of nice to just to talk about, or ones I'd kind of like to play, and I hope you guys will indulge me while I do it. But we were talking about, it was Duelist, and I don't know if this will compare to Duelist, but I think this is a neat one, assuming that my profile loads. I think this is a neat little game. We can talk a bit about why I think it's unique and why I think it's kind of fun. I'll admit, generally I like the animation style. I will say it looks a little wonky at times. Like, I'm not going to lie, this globe is not very convincing as a rotating globe. The wings, I think, look nice enough. And I mean, the login unsuccessful. Okay, maybe I can't do this when I'm streaming, which is a shame, but a possibility. So the game we're moving on to right now is called Infinity Wars, assuming that it authenticates me. I might quit out and sign in again, and if not, we'll do something else. But basically, so the thing that I really like about Infinity Wars is that the turns are taken simultaneously. So one of the things that this leads to is it's not just that. So like if you think of a game like Magic the Gathering, or if you think of a game like Hearthstone, you are going to focus on what you can accomplish in your turn. Sometimes certain cards are going to give you a trap that you can lay. And then in the case of something like Magic the Gathering, you'll also have like interrupts, things that you can sort of cast, or not interrupt, instance, things that you can sort of cast. Okay. I'm going to give this one more try. I'm just going to sign out and sign back in. You guys get to see my messy desktop again. This is one thing I'll say that I like about Mac OS is that I don't need to worry about losing any of my windows. Everything just comes back exactly the way that I had it before. So I'm just going to wait till it says... I'm going to wait until it's finished saying connecting to server. That's ridiculous. It would have prompted me to update if it... Yeah. Okay, it doesn't tell me anything. Okay, one more try. I've got something else we can move on to. Now it's just tedious. Yeah, so with simultaneous turns, the thing that's really neat about this is, again, you get a little bit more strategy. Well, it's a different kind of strategy, I think is maybe a better way of saying, which is, when you're playing a game where it is possible for both sides to destroy each other on the same turn, right? So if I get somebody's fortress to 0 and they get my fortress down to 0, then it's a tie. There are cards which basically will completely clear the board. And there's this guessing game in terms of what's going to be in a position to be affected by that card. things like that just lead to a style of gameplay which I find very appealing. Now, again, I really like games like Hearthstone, but in this case, because you sort of have these sequential turns, please work. I'm a little disappointed if I don't get a chance to show you this guy. If I don't, I will. If this doesn't work tonight, I will find another day where I can stream this for you. But I don't know. I just think it's a little bit more of a complicated game. I think, Hearthstone, when I'm trying to win a game of that, I think, what can I accomplish next turn? What's going to bring me closer to that goal of lethal? I think the same thing about Infinity Wars, but the variables are quite a bit more complicated. The decisions that I'll make in Hearthstone are like, what cards does my opponent have, and what will they possibly cast next turn? Whereas in Infinity Wars, I need to consider that, but also in the present turn, I need to consider about, well, what's their best reply to the action I'm taking right now, because that's going to be happening at the same moment. And so in some ways, I think it creates a slightly richer style of gameplay, which is at least very appealing to me when it works. Shiver, the best way you can describe Duelist is Hearthstone collectible deck building and a pricing model with Fire Emblem combat and gorgeous pixel art graphics. Also, you encourage anyone in chat that likes CCGs to go onto their forums and ask for a key. The game really deserves it. All right, sorry guys. Infinity Wars is going to have to wait for next time. So, I'm going to ask something big of you. I'm going to ask for you to indulge me in a bot game of Dota 2. But I'm not going to pause the game and talk about the strategy. But I would like to show you guys what Reborn looks like. And I'm going to do my best to tie it into the reason why I like games like Crusader Kings 2 and how I think my interests in games like that are actually are reflected in my interests in Dota. By the way, I'm not particularly great at this game. I'm okay in some regards. But I'm not. One of the things I'm actually going to do this time is, rather than play like one of my support characters or something like that. Oh, what am I doing? I'm just trying to change the music. We'll do the Dead Mouse pack. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to play one of the heroes that people consider a bit challenging to play. Now, unfortunately, again, I can't play the game online because of my bandwidth, but I will do unfair bots, which means it's possible that I lose. Unfair bots are... I don't find them challenging to play against, save for the fact that they tend to group up as 5 and murder my teammates, and then they become too difficult to handle. So I'll try to prevent that.
We'll be playing all pick.
Think Infinity Wars card evolutions is interesting. What do you mean by that, Chivor? Okay. So the hero I'm going to be playing is called Shadow Fiend. I'll explain a little bit about why people consider him a somewhat difficult hero to play. He's usually played mid, which is not a role I play very often, but I'm not going to get any better at the hero unless I try it out. So the first thing that you saw, I didn't spend too much time talking about the new menus in the Dota 2 Reborn beta. I think it generally looks better. But this is a little bit more just in terms of the engine and, I don't know, some of the fun that you can get out of it. I mean, you've got your loadout. This is just all the hats that you can buy. I've got 2 of the exact same item. So I've built myself my own little guides here, and what I basically did, and you'll actually notice that I don't follow the guide anymore.
Prepare yourselves, we're nearly ready.
I kind of do this as a shorthand. So one of the things that I did when I was learning this game was to sit down with the heroes and sort of figure out, is like, what is the build that makes the most sense to me? You know, what, not necessarily what are pros doing in the game, but what do I think is a logical sequence of events? And then what I was going to do is like have these be my default positions if I can't think of something else to do. But the goal would be to respond in an intelligent way to the events of the game. So in this case, I built Tangos and Wraithband, and this is partly because I'm going to be exploiting some of the stupid behavior of the bots, but also because I want to improve my stats. So one of the things about Shadow Fiend is that he starts off with one of the lowest base damages in the game. Yeah, Felspell, just keep in mind I'm not good at this game. You know they come out with 3 Kalis?
It's time for Fantasy World avatars to pretend to murder one another. More souls for me.
So Shadow Fiend is one of the lowest base damages in the game, but the skill that I started off leveling, and I think everybody does this on him, is Necromastery. So every time I get a last hit on something, I gain a soul, and that's going to increase my damage. The challenge is I need to make sure that I last hit well, which is why this hero is a little bit of a challenge for me to play, because my list hitting mechanics are not exactly where they should be. So see, I just missed one there. I will pause. This will be one of the few times that I pause. Oh, okay. I was going to pause just so you can see the highlights. But basically, these 3 skills here are called Shadow Rays. They've got a fixed length, so you kind of need to anticipate where the enemy is going to be. Ah, see, I screwed up that last hit too. You kind of need to be able to know the distance of the attack. Yeah, so you shouldn't be missing last hits against Zeus. He's not that good of a last hitter. Also, I feel a little laggy, but that could just be because I'm streaming. But in any case, this is something that does a lot of damage, so you can see a little bit of the radius here when I mouse over it. I missed a deny there, but, you know, I'll at least show you what the skill looks like. But I mean, again, just try and anticipate where that's going to be when you're playing the game. So one thing I've not been doing very well in this lane is sort of controlling where the creeps are. And that means that I need to kind of go up on this hill here. Now, if I was Zeus, I'd kind of be punishing me for this. He's kind of been letting me get away with just sort of standing here and attacking his creeps. One thing that you might do as a Zeus is to use your lightning to last hit a lot more. Because in general, like, one of the ways that you can hurt a hero like this is just prevent him from being able to get his last hits. I've also brought relatively little regen, but I sort of spent a lot of my money. So I'll be getting my bottle a little bit late. My bottle will be giving me some health and mana regen. In fact, arguably I could be spamming more of my abilities in anticipation of getting that bottle, but I also don't want to push the wave any more than I have to. By the way, guys, I'm going to be a little bit bad at responding to chat, just because the beginning mechanics of this are tricky. So one thing I'm going to do here is attack these creeps, and that's basically just to draw their aggro onto me. I don't want them doing any more damage to the tower than I can. So I've got 2 goals, which is to get as many last hits as I can, one for the gold, but also for the extra damage that it gives me. And then if I can, to deny it to Zeus. So one thing I could do to be a little aggressive is move here. Again, I want to make sure that I can still get my last hits. But if I can put him in a bad spot like this... So I'm pretty sure that's 3 raises I got on him. Not enough to kill, but that just did a ton of damage to him. And he's going to have to either go and use up some of his regen. Oh, I hit the wrong creep. And again, that's no cost to me because I've got my bottle, so I just load back up. And notice he's completely out of my lane now. One thing I'm doing here, which I may not normally do, is... oh, sorry, trying to read chat. Sorry, I'll pause and catch up with you guys, so... System or Chalk, you've been here long enough. Yeah, it doesn't... I respond to both. I'm just happy to see Dota. If you're bad, you'll laugh at you. Laugh at what you do and have a good time. If you're good, you'll learn from the stream. Win-win for me. And Trevor used to play a lot of Shadow Fiend in the original Dota, kinda off the MOBA truck lately. Okay. In order to lengthen the game, it's here's the storm, lol, Dota 2, and no one talks about Smite. Yeah, that's true. It's played, but no one... See, Smite to me feels a lot like a third-person League of Legends, which doesn't make it bad, it just doesn't quite make it the thing I'm looking for. So, I'll quickly, just because I paused the game right now, the thing that I was, again, the build that I go for, leveling up Necromastery, because if you don't, you're just not going to have the strength. Now I've got 22 souls that I'm sitting on. That's the most that I can get out of Necromastery. You get extra damage per soul, so 22 souls is a bonus 44 damage. I never start with Presence of the Dark Lord. I don't think anybody does. It does reduce armor. It's fantastic, but this is something that you want later on when you're an absolute beast and are just... you know, are running over things. So the reason why I got a pack of Tangos, you notice that I've never needed to use them, and I'm the reason why I went just straight for Wraithband and Tango is I kind of knew that Zeus wouldn't be doing that much damage to me. So I brought some regen because you're stupid not to, but I was fairly confident in my ability to get the bottle in something of a certain period of time. So right now, I'm going to be seeing if I can get an opportunity to kill Zeus. Again, if I can get a triple raise, now that I've got the 3rd level here, it does 250 damage per raise. He has a total of 663 health. So if I can land all 3, he's dead. Right now, I just need to land 2 of them, or I need to do a couple of hits on him and land 1. So you'll see how that happens, and it would be great if I could kill him right now because rune spawns at every 2 minutes, which is something I want to keep an eye on. But again, my gold and my experience are going to be coming from the creeps, so I don't want to leave the lane too long for it. But let's see what happens. And he's running away. The bots, I will say, in this game are extremely bad. So now that applies to your teammates along your... I don't think I'm going to get this. Oh, maybe I will. You know, this applies to your teammates as it does for you. Okay, so this is a perfect opportunity. He's just going to blindly go after... Ah, damn it. I thought he was going to blindly go after the rune, and at that point I'd take the chance. But again, this is the thing you can kind of get away... one thing that I can get away with, because I know I've got a bunch of health. He does too. Like, he's still got a pack of Tangos, but in this case I can... As long as I can get a pair of raises off well... I'll kill him. And one of the things that I have a problem with right now is because it's pushing up to his tower. I'm not in that position where I can, you know, I can just run after him and land those raises like I did last time. So now I need to be thinking about killing Zeus because he's going to be in a bad position. And he's dead. Sorry, I didn't have the camera on him at the time that he died, but in that case, I was totally fine taking that lightning bolt from him just because I knew I had my game planned in mind. Unless there was somebody coming along to gank, this is why you always keep an eye on your minimap. He was just going to wind up moving in a way that would allow me to get those final raises, and now I have a lane to kind of do what I want. Normally at 6 you would get your ultimate, but in this case here it's actually a little more useful for me to get these shadow raises. God, I'm bad at last hitting. There's a few ideas in terms of what you can do. That was foolish of me to pull that tower aggro, but here I think I'll just do an intimidation raise. Nope. I got stunned by the bolt, so here I'm just going for that rune. You refill your bottle when you get the rune. So here I'm just trying to get in a position to... I didn't take that raise because I wasn't sure I was going to be able to get enough to kill him. So that would be a waste. Oh my god, I can't believe I lost him behind my own illusions. That's embarrassing. So I didn't want to waste the mana, but it would have actually worked out because he was alive. So in this case here, I don't have a lot of... Like, what you might normally use these illusions for is vision. I don't have a whole lot I want to see. So in this case, I'm going to use a Tango finally. And I'll see if I can get into an interesting position to kill Zeus. I don't think this is going to work, though. Oh, yep, there's Omni Knight, so... I shouldn't normally be too scared of Omni Knight because he He's not particularly strong, but he does have an ability that can slow me. So if the rest of his team is showing up, there's going to be problems. As is happening here. So there's a Riki. I might possibly die here, but I'm going to be smart about it. This is, by the way, where bots become a problem, because they will group as 5 and there's nothing you can do about it. So I'm going to turn, throw as many raises as I can. Not good enough. Okay, and Dragon Knight just gave up on life, so... Unfortunately, this creep is blocking me, so let's see if I can get the raise. Damn it. Okay, so in this case, he's going to get away because I don't have boots yet. I'm sitting on a pile of gold, so that's really my own damn fault for not being equipped for that. I don't really need to complete this item. Oh, this is the wrong item to get. I don't really need to complete this item, but a little extra armor doesn't hurt, and I also like the mana regen, so. Now, I don't have a lot of use for this. I never talked about why I didn't. I never talked about why I didn't level my my ultimate. Yep. I was trying to right-click Riki. I don't quite know what's happening there. So the problem with Riki is that he's a hero that goes invisible. I'd kind of like to use my inventory space for other stuff. So I may not buy the detection. But the problem, Riki becomes a bit of a terror in pubs precisely because I think I will go for... In this case, there's activity happening here, so I just want to see if I can be of any use. I also need to be careful. I have brought the... I am getting the courier close to me. But, I don't think I'm going to be able to have any impact here. But let's see. So I'm switching to intelligence treads here because I intend to use my raises. Oh, well, turns out that Lion had that under control. So, I have decisions to make. I could go to the middle here, but in this case I think I'm just going to make them pay with their tower. It's not great to give up the mid tower for this one. This is not a very high value tower, but I'm here, so... Just use a raise to take them out quickly. And they're not being too effective in taking this thing down, so I got a last hit on a tower. And I'll be able to go back and deal with my mid tower here. So, I said I was going to talk a little bit about why I like this game and why I think I have room for both Crusader Kings 2 and I should have bought these TPs while I was in the lane, but at this point, again, I could be doing something here, but I'd really like to get my ultimate as soon as I can, and if I can put some pressure on the mid tower. These bots are going to feed almost certainly, so I don't really want to throw my life away. Alright. Unfortunately... I had to use the invis. Let's see if I can get something from the... Okay, double damage rune. This is an absolutely fantastic rune to get, especially as Shadow Fiend. So as far as build is concerned, I've maxed out my Shadow Raises, I've maxed out Necromastery. One thing that you might do as a player is go to the jungle to farm some camps. Ideally, your supports are going to be stacking up those camps for you. That's one of the things that I try to do if I have some time as a support player.
Enemy's bottom tower has fallen. Quite a spree.
So I'm just trying to keep an eye on what's happening on the mini-map, but you'll notice I'm a very anti-social player when it comes with bots because they will do... I mean, you saw how stupidly Zeus died. My allies are going to die in similar ways. So, not using the double damage here because I feel like there will be better opportunities. There's also probably a Riki here. Yep, there he is. Okay, and again, my right click doesn't seem to do anything. Okay, so Omni Knight's ult makes them immune to... What's happening? Makes them immune to physical damage, so wait for that to go down. Now I pop my rune. Okay, that's a dirty combo. I gotta run. I never thought about... Omni healing Riki when he jumps on somebody, so I didn't actually get any kills. I'm a little disappointed in that. We'll see if I can maybe get some use out of this double damage rune. So there's a couple of glitches that well, not glitches, like I misclicked or something like that. And the, I should have at least gotten 1 or 2 kills as a result of this. I'm going to switch to strength treads just so the damage from the tower isn't that high. Also, it's night, so my teammates are going to die like idiots. But I'll at least get a rune to show for it. So now I switch to agility just because I want, as a percentage, the tango's going to heal a certain amount of your health based on it's going to heal a fixed amount, but when you switch back to strength treads, your strength ability is going to give you, your strength stat is going to give you a certain amount. Oh my god, I can't believe I don't have these town portal scrolls yet. Do I like any of these items here? Let's go for a Helm of the Dominator. I don't really need it because I've got Wraith King's Aura, but again, I don't like relying on the bots. They tend to be not very good. And again, we always want to be conscious of a Riki. Now I finally am leveling up my ult. I think one of the reasons why I skilled the ult so late was when I first played this hero, I was under the impression that you actually had to pay the souls, but that's only when you die. So I might need to reconsider this build. One other thing about this ult is that you kind of need to be in position for it to be all that effective. Okay, there's, again, most likely going to be a Riki here, so I just want to make sure I'm not in a bad spot. Here comes the ult. Not as good as I wanted it to be, unfortunately. And now I'm getting pounded by this tower because I'm out of position, so... So that's another unfortunate situation where I actually didn't accomplish as much as I wanted to in that engagement, but we didn't die, which is also important, especially when you're playing a hero like Shadow Fiend, who relies on the number of kills that he's gotten in a particular group. So I can control a creep with this Helm of the Dominator here. I don't particularly like either of these ones here, so I'll just go by. What this particular item does is gives me a little bit of health based on the amount of damage that I do. So it's a good one for just farming the jungle. Again, I could use my raises to take these stacks, but I don't have very large stacks, so I don't think it's an efficient use of mana. I need to be in this fight. I'm going to walk to the fight because there's cleanup that can be done. There we go. I could have TP'd, but that denies me the TP for the next one. So we're all in the mid here. We want to... Actually, sorry, I didn't talk about any of the strategy. So one of the things that's nice about this game is, like, obviously not everything is going according to plan as far as me using my skills or clicking on the right things. So, like, there's been a couple of times I've tried to right-click on Riki and it's not done anything. Riki's the little invisible rat guy, and you probably don't know what he looks like because he's invisible all the time. So, like, there's a mechanical component to this game, but again, it's primarily a strategy game at its core, right? Like, it's still no. Alright, they've got the drop on us. I might die here. Yep. That was silly. This is actually one thing. So the bots will always overextend after pushing a tower, so I don't know why I followed them. I just kind of thought that the enemy was going to be coming out through that. So there's no reason I should have died there. There's no way that we could have taken that tower. I just got greedy and wanted to do some extra damage, and I paid for it. So notice my life has gone down to 18. I haven't been doing my shadow raises a whole lot just because I've got the illusion that I was going to be trading it. What would have been ideal for me if, you know, if I'm going to die, it happens, right? But what I should have done is bought out. There's something that I was going to get. There's a new item that's been added to the game called the Silver Edge. I'm actually going to start by building the Sange for it first, just because that'll give me a little bit of extra HP. Fortunately, I'm going to be back, and I didn't use my TP scroll before, so I'm going to be in position to defend this. And I've also got an ultimate, so I'm going to wait until they use their nasty stuff that can stop my ultimate. And if the opportunity presents itself... Oh, don't need to worry about that. He's already dead. So if they stacked up, I was going to use this ultimate, which does quite a bit of damage when you're beside people. All right, let's see if I can talk about this strategy part. So, in addition to the mechanics of the game, I'm not actually going to join them while they barrel at mid because we're just going to die like last time. Instead, I'm going to focus on building up my items and becoming stronger. Actually, this would have been a good fight because I would have gotten some easy kills, but we'll see if they screw it up. Looks like they are screwing it up, actually, so... So here I can make myself a little bit stronger by just attacking creeps and claiming their souls. I have an entire lane worth of experience and gold that I'm getting from this, although mostly, like, I was tanking the creep wave just because I'm generating health off of these attacks with the Helm of the Dominator. I still haven't gotten the creep to stack the Ancients. But one of the things that you can think about strategically for this game is that every lane represents a resource. You know, that's the gold and the experience from the creeps. Right now I'm just auto-attacking them because I want to take them down as fast as I can. This is because Presence of the Dark Lord is going to be helpful for hitting like a truck. Especially with somebody like Sven who does a lot of physical damage. Having Presence of the Dark Lord to lower... I believe this is a bug in the game. I don't think Jakiro is anywhere there. He should be... Yeah, he's there in the mid lane. The other thing this does is it forces the enemy team TP, so they always move as 5 at this point. So at this point here, there's no way I can take on 5 of them. I'll just move off to the side, and we can consider a push somewhere else. I might even just consider TPing to another lane, although I don't really want to do that until I have the boots. So again, that lane represented a collection of resources, and if you don't have, like, we don't have anybody in this lane, which means that nobody is gaining the golden experience. I think I'll TP here. This is just because I want to be on time for the fight. They're all farming the jungle, unfortunately. So as long as they don't stun me, this is a great spot. Ah, they did stun me. And I have to run away. I keep forgetting that Zeus's lightning bolt actually does do a mini stun, which stops my... It stops my really cool ultimate ability. So this is going to be a little trickier to... I'm dead.
Under attack.
So I moved to strength here just so I can be a little bit more survivable. We had to sack the top tower, but that's the consequence of losing a fight so badly. I still have my ultimate. Unfortunately, they have a lot of things to disable that ultimate. So.
Top tower under siege. Dire structures are fortified.
Oh, that's true, Fellspell. I'm used to being able to, like, get up to people, the side people, and just annihilating them. What? See, this is one thing I can't stand about bots. They're going after one guy in the mid here while we give up a tier 2 for free.
Your top tower has fallen.
Fortunately, the bots are going to make the same mistake we did. Or will they? Alright, anyways, so the strategic elements of Dota 2. You can think of this map as a series of resources. I may actually have to buy detection for Riki. This is getting a little ridiculous. I don't understand why this ult keeps getting cancelled. Yeah, absolutely, Fellspell. It's actually why I don't like playing with bots. Because it's just 5... Like, it's a ridiculous game of Red Rover. All up and down the middle lane here. Like, at this point I feel kind of useless in the fight because for whatever reason my ultimate's not going off. At this point, I think the best thing I can actually do is just start split pushing in this side here. This tower's certainly gone, and I don't know... Well, I mean, they're getting together for a defense here, so I'll contribute to the defense, but I need to be a little bit more careful with my placement. Okay, so they should... Yep, there goes again. So that was like obviously very optimistic placement on my part, but unfortunately, there's just too... Like, the idea here was I thought they'd used every single one of their stuns, so they weren't going to be able to stop me right away. If I got it off, I would have been killing them instead of they'd be killing me, and now I've got 9 souls, 3 deaths to my 2 kills. I'm not good at Shadow Fiend, but this is definitely not good out of my not goods. But yeah, I agree with you completely, Phil Spell. And by the way, I'm sorry guys, I was wanting to try and talk a little bit about strategy stuff, but I'm getting slightly frustrated with the game. Anybody, so, you know, if a team were to be playing like these bots are, the very obvious answer is, okay, everybody picks one lane. You push that lane as hard as you can, make sure you don't die. As soon as all 5 of these idiots come to defend one tower, everybody go take one of the other towers. The bots will never do this. The bots are going to spend the entire time hanging out in the jungle, wondering why, you know, attacking a single mud golem is leaving them underleveled. So, in any case, taking advantage of the fact that they're in the middle here, I need to get my souls up anyway. And in the best case scenario, I take a tower. In the worst case scenario, they TP back and I save our tier 2 tower. Looks like they're committing. So in this case, I'm fed up with my teammates. I know I'm partially responsible for some of my own deaths. But this is an absolute lost cause to work with them. So here they're TPing back, which I am completely okay with. If anybody stays, which they are, I come and clean up. That's mostly just to slow him. Although I don't quite seem to be doing... Okay, I'm screwed. See, here I foolishly assumed I would have backup. That was, I mean, that was not a good attack on Zeus. I should have had a lot more damage on him at that point, but... Okay. I need to clear my mind, because I'm actually playing in a... Even against bots, I'm playing in a very foolish way. So, I'm just going to focus on this lane for a bit. I know I keep saying that, but this time I'm just going to ignore my teammates. They don't exist. I'm not going to assume that I get backup. And I will either successfully split push my way to victory, or I will die with a terrible KDA and just acknowledge that I shouldn't play Dota on stream. So yeah, I was talking... The one thing that I would like thinking about for the lanes is they represent resources. So, on all things being equal, like again, here I'm just ignoring the existence of teammates because either I am not playing in a way that maximizes their contribution, or they're just straight up bad.
Good God.
Speaking of which, let's actually see. So, Dragon Knight is 9-0, which I've never seen him do when he's on my team. Windrunner has died 7 times. Lions died 7 times. Wraith Kings died 6 times. So, yeah. In this case, I'm going to assume that it's 1v5. All things being equal, it would be nice to have somebody in one of these lanes because otherwise there are resources that are not being used. I also don't like the fact that bots can trigger a fortification because it's actually better to hang on to that Like, they're just going to stand outside this tower and not defend it.
Oh dear, well, that's one less middle tower for you.
It looks like there's still 2 up there. So here we are actually going to participate. I die instantly to chain stuns.
Make that 2. 3 innocent lives taken.
No, that was admittedly a very aggressive TP, but
The middle barracks is the left hidden reactor. No one needs it.
I mean, what do you do with that?
Your middle barracks is in ruins.
In addition to the 3 lanes, you have your woods. Now, in a better set of circumstances, you get a decision. Basically, you ask how many farming heroes do you have in your team. You know, is there somebody who can benefit from farming those woods? And if there's more than one, a priority would actually be to try and take a tower like this and actually do as much farming as you can inside the enemy woods, because in that case, your strategic... Again, you need the mechanics to be... Like in this case, I'm failing on executing mechanics, so even against terrible opponents, I'm not accomplishing things. I've actually got 5 deaths to 2 kills, and I haven't been assisting a lot either. I actually should be focusing on last-hitting these a little bit more, but I kind of want to... I want to push out the lane without using mana, so I'm just kind of right-clicking like an idiot. I think I'll go to the jungle and get something. So, in this case here, if I can move from jungle to woods to jungle, in this case these are resources that are being consumed. Another thing that I would take note of is that it's 2847. So, I want to make a judgment in terms of how fast... Oh, wrong's raise. Okay, that's friggin' embarrassing. I was gonna try and I was actually gonna try and trigger one of these camps to move so I could spawn them on time. And Zeus has a refresher. So basically the idea here is to jump between woods to jump from the woods to the lane so that you can sort of maximize the creep experience as well as the woods. Basically anything that you haven't used at the top of the minute is going to be a resource that you potentially could have exploited. And with 5 people on a team, there could theoretically be... I mean, this would never actually happen, but you could quite theoretically have 5 people on a team, 1 person in every single lane, and 1 person in each woods. The enemy team is not just going to sit by and let you clobber them like that. The idea here is to try and provoke them to TP back, and then I will teleport to the bottom lane. They might just throne us, but at this point I kind of don't care.
More death.
Okay, well, if my idiot teammates can distract them long enough, I might be able to go for a tier 3.
Enemy's top a dominant performance. Your middle tower is under attack. Your middle tower has been destroyed.
Are they... No, they're still working on the second one, so... I have a slight lifeline. The big one here is I just want to provoke the TP back. And if they don't TP back, I just get the tower for free. It's not exactly a base race, but... Alright. I hate that ult.
Mid tower taking damage. Your middle
I
tower
also don't know why my...
Your ancient is taking
Alright,
damage.
I have to go back now. I'm pretty sure this game's just... Oh, yeah, game's over. Alright, so again, in a perfect situation, you'd be able to take every single L5 of those places for resources. Now, because I'm actually going to do another. I'm sorry if this is terrible for you guys. I know it's probably not the most exciting thing to hear me complain about bot matches, but I'm beginning to doubt my capacity for Shadow Fiend. I mean, I could do Drow Ranger, and that'd be very easy, but...
Dead. I didn't know there were other reasons people stopped playing Dota. Today, we'll be playing all pick. It's now or never. Well, let's get to it, shall we?
Given that you know your opponent is not going to voluntarily give you access to all 5 of those resources, the next thing that you ask is, how am I going to put myself in a position where I can maximize that? So that's where you get these ideas of like tri-lanes and either tri-lanes or running a jungler, or I don't know, a good example of this might be you have a support hero like Crystal Maiden, who can go and she can use one of her level 1 abilities to go farm the woods when nobody else can. And in that case, she sort of transitions between the woods and helping out her carry in lane. So what that does is that removes 1 leech of experience from the lane and starts taking advantage of that resource a little bit earlier. Now, of course, the drawback is every time that Crystal Maiden is in the woods is a time that the carry might be jumped on. So, oh, thanks, Spell.
Meditative reflection on the fleeting and fragile nature of life begin.
I kind of wish I could play pubs online, but my latency would be atrocious. So, in this case, I'm a little bit lucky where somebody didn't claim the second bounty rune. There's a reason why the bots will always ward in very predictable places. Will I get there in time? I think so. Now I'm against Bloodseeker, which is, in my opinion, kind of BS at the moment, and I'm not talking about his initials. So one of the things that I try to do is when he uses his... I mean, in the end, I have the same priority that he does, which is to get as many last hits as possible. The reason he does it is because he gets health when he hits people with that ability active. But when he has that ability active, he actually takes more damage. So if I'm careful, I can actually do a ton of damage with my raises. I actually don't mind him taking a lot of damage here, just because you can see how low he is because he's not been able to get any last hits. And he's had that thing active for a while. So again, I'm going to go in a really aggressive place here just because he can't really afford to go toe-to-toe with me like this. Unfortunately, I went a little too far and I take an unnecessary amount of damage from the tower, but again, I brought some regen, so... I was a little premature on that, raise, just because I thought he was going to trigger. Why are you taking my courier, Zeus? I really need to figure out... I'm definitely feeling like things are not quite as responsive as they should be. Okay, but yeah, so as I was saying a little bit earlier, so you have this question about, okay, double damage is kind of scary, but again, just a little too soon on that raise. The ideal here is to hammer him with his, oh, I didn't notice they had a Viper on their team. This is going to be another bot win, possibly, because the bots will just constantly feed to Viper. But that's fine. I'll do my best. I'll do my best with the situation. So again, this is an ideal situation here, right? Which is Bloodseekers had to leave the lane to heal up. Normally he shouldn't have to do that because he can last hit and get his health from... He can last hit and get his health from the creeps. I didn't check the rune. Not there. I actually need to last hit a little bit more because my damage isn't what it should be. Actually, he's been gone a really long time. I'm assuming he's somewhere? I'm not quite sure what he's trying to accomplish, though. Ah, there he is. Yeah, so there's another example where I basically clicked on Bloodseeker, but I wound up moving in a weird way. So here I'm going to completely ignore the rune just to make sure that he doesn't get any last hits. Now I can afford to like miss out on one creep. He might be able to get some last hits while I'm away. But again, anything I can do to sort of keep him from recharging health keeps the pressure on him and prevents him from getting his golden experience on time. Alright, talking about resources. So, you know, there's a certain level of mechanical play. Certainly a mid-hero is going to be a little bit more mechanically focused than, say, a support. Although I really like playing Vengeful Spirit, so that's a big question about positioning and things like that. But the appeal of Dota 2 is that you get the same kind of strategic thinking that you'll do in Crusader Kings 2. So this is like, you know, what is my long-term goal? You know, that's always going to be take the throne. But then you say, it's like, what are my intermediate goals? Well, you know, farm up, get to a point where I can do an obscene amount of damage, so on and so forth. Again, you can see this matchup's pretty good for Shadow Fiend just because he winds up doing some fairly substantial damage to Bloodseeker as long as you have your souls and as long as he uses his healing ability improperly. Not been getting any good raises on him, which is a shame, but... Although again, the other thing about mid too is that I mean, against a bot, I really should probably be getting a kill. But even if I don't get the kill, keeping them out of the lane so that they're not able to get their gold and experience, especially with Bloodseeker, who has an ultimate which tends to cause the bots to feed quite a bit. See, that's over half of his health gone. No, I didn't right-click on Bloodseeker here specifically because I knew I was going to be running past the tower. If I right-clicked on Bloodseeker at that time, then I would have attracted the aggro of the tower onto myself. And so I would have wound up taking a lot of damage quite unnecessarily. In this case, he ran away a little bit too fast. I mean, one of the things is that if anybody on the field is missing health, then they are going to... then they're going to speed him up. So it's... If he starts running away, chances are he's going to be able to run forever. Hey, George. We're doing a little Dota 2. I wanted to do Infinity Wars, but here I got an embarrassing defeat at the hands of the bots, and we're shaping up to have another one, actually. So I decided I'd do a second round and try and give voice to what I'm thinking as I play. Although my commentary isn't as good as Crusader Kings 2. I still haven't been able to explain why this type of strategy appeals to me. I don't think that hit, but... Maybe optimistic, but... worth going for, in my opinion. I don't quite want to waste mana on raises. Again, an absent Bloodseeker is a nice opportunity for me to take that middle tower. The sooner I take the middle tower, I think I can rotate and help that lane that's going up against Viper. But... I mean, I don't have to take out the tower if I Yeah, this is going to be tricky. I don't have to take out the tower to go help that bottom lane. It's just nice because that sort of... It just gives me some extra gold. It puts me in a slightly more advanced position. And Viper does have magic resistance, so in this case he's going to be right. Alright, somebody already got the rune. Okay, so he's TPing away. I could go help, but again, I don't really have a lot of faith in my bot allies. So because I know he's gone away, I'm just going to use this opportunity. I've already got the illusions up. So we'll just punch the tower. I don't think there's any really good stuns in this case. So let's go... I think I'll go for another Helm of the Dominator just because that'll allow me to sort of AFK in the jungle if things go bad. But what I'll do next is I'll actually be able to finish that Silver's Edge. So I'll send the illusions. I don't have anything else to do with them. So I'll just get them to do a little bit of extra damage on the tower, and then I'll go help. Normally in a game, when we're talking about resources and the sort of things that you can do to maximize your efficiency, Dire has, it's known as the Dire Advantage, so these two towers are pretty good for accessing the Roshan Pit. So if you can take out, those towers quickly, it's ideal. Unfortunately, Viper is quickly becoming a big problem. He is currently 6 kills. Right, I don't really trust Zeus to be that helpful here. Oh, that was optimistic. That was fairly easy. Just sit down and right-click him. So I see Viper show up somewhere, I will jump in. If not, then I'm going to keep trying to work on this tower. Sometimes I'll turn off this Ring of Aquila, especially if I'm in the regular laning state. I just kept that on because it gives extra armor to the creeps. And in this case, because my focus is to push towers, that little bit of armor kind of helps. In this case, I think I'll start using my raises. So again, we've got basically a full creep wave pounding away at this tower, and they're taking a little bit less damage from that tower because of the... Alright, now I gotta beat feet. The big worry that I have is Omni Knight slow, because if he gets sufficiently close to me, all of a sudden all 3 of those guys are hurting me. Now the good news here is that there were 2 people in that lane working on the tower, so in this case they've kind of squandered their resources. And the big question is whether or not they are going to try and translate that gain into a tower. I'm not going to be able to take them on my own. So in this case, I'm just going to try and make the most of my time. Oh god. They normally don't do that. I'm tempted to try and ping out this tower, but if we can take the tier 2, that's actually ideal. Looks like the bots are moving in though. So... But yeah, so taking this top tower here is something of a priority just because, again, when you think about access to resources, if you have a... You know, think of it this way. If you said... I don't have an MMR. I'm TBD. I suspect I'm probably in the 2 or, if on an optimistic day, the low 3k MMR. Although, again, I normally play support, so... Oh, that's unfortunate. This is potentially very stupid, but if I can get a ult off... Nope. Okay, so we take the tower instead. But yeah, so I was going to say, what if I told you there's an item in this game that will allow you to... What if I told you in this game there is an item that will allow you to come back for a second life? You say, well, that's fantastic. That's Roshan, this guy right here. So if you close off somebody's ability to if you close off somebody's ability to access that easily, then that's a desirable goal. In addition to the fact that, you know, you've got your, you know, your tower gold and things like that. So, all right, so I gotta at least waste the Omni ult. Oracle should be able to ult himself to survive. Whether or not he does is another matter. I probably should have ulted. Don't do it. That was a little, I hesitated too much on the ultimate. Also, on the point of lane harass for raises, I used to do it a lot more than I used to. The one thing I'm bad at is clearing the creep wave when I want to try keeping lane equilibrium. Now, I'm bad at keeping lane equilibrium anyway, so there's an argument that I should probably do it a little bit more often anyway. I'm just waiting for the next creep wave to show up. This is a little embarrassing. I only have one kill to show for my efforts, but... Okay, so bots have decided to defend this bottom tower, so I will hopefully assist my allies, remembering how disastrously that's worked the previous time.
More death.
Not quite good enough. Oh well. Don't think I'm quite strong enough to make short work of these things, but fair enough. But yeah, so what I would tend to do is, like, I would, I'd be careless in my raises and I would wind up attacking too many of the creeps. So it's something I could improve on. Again, I don't play a lot of Shadow Fiend. I will try to give myself some credit and say I'm not quite this bad. But you wouldn't know it. I'm getting better at hitting my raises, at least. I just don't use them as often as I should. So I have no idea why they decided to just stand in the middle there. Alright, that sucked that he got healed for literally everything from Omni. So in this case, we're running away. I could try and defend the mid tower, but let's face it, we're completely broken here. So again, when we're talking about strategy in games like this, it's kind of making a decision, what's the best thing I can do with this opportunity? This mid tower is lost if they decide to take it. So rather than hanging around behind the tower and wait, I make a decision, okay, well, what's going to help me with the next encounter? Well, I need to get my Silver's Edge. So, well, in this case, currently my Sange. So I acknowledge that this tower is going to be lost. And I take whatever movement I can to go after this tier 2 tower, especially because I still have a fortification available, which is going to recover. Yeah. Once they take that tower.
Keep murdering. Double kill. Radiant's towers are
Alright, and they're moving to defend the tower, so I can now turn around. And we have a Viper, so it's a little scary to me. Oh god, I thought I was facing the right direction! So yeah, I'm not going to sacrifice my life just to take on the entire enemy team at their tower. But in this case here, it did force them to TP, and so we've got our tower recovered. Silver Edge is a new item. It's actually a really good one too. It's like, it's a super version of... I wish there wasn't that ability there, so here we go. I kind of wish I got Viper inside that, but I'll live with it. So what Silver's Edge does is you build a Shadow Blade, you build a Sange. It does a lot more damage in its initial attack out of invisibility, so that's obviously a good thing no matter what. But also applies break, so it's actually a really good item against a hero like Phantom Assassin. And again, so the first thing you think of is like, okay, Phantom Assassin's a problem because she has you know, she has an ability that gives her extra dodge or evasion or whatever. But with the break mechanic with the break mechanic for the Silver's Edge, this is like a pub now. They'll basically just go fountain diving even though the tier 3 is still standing up. So I have no part of this, and I'm just going to go to a place where I'm a little more useful. Oh, please don't follow me. Lotus Orb is the only item introduced recently that wasn't actually useful. Lotus Orb is the one that sort of like it's the one that reflects the ability back at the guy, right? If so, the one thing that's useful about Lotus Orb is that you can use it like a... So, Yule Scepter you can throw up, and it'll remove, you know, it'll remove the debuff that you have on you, or the whatever on you. I think I could have used a fortification there. I probably wasn't paying attention. But you need to be up in the air for a couple of seconds to remove it. Lotus Orb will remove it right away, kind of like a Manta. And then obviously in an age where there's like a lot of Lenas being played with like a Laguna Blade and things like that, if you can time it properly, it's a slightly better blade mail. But I'm not entirely sure you buy it just for that. So I'd love to think I can take on these guys, but I know they're all going to come back. So again, I move back. My TP's just off cooldown. So here I might... Oh god, I'm going to go in the middle. Okay, good.
Triple kill.
Alright, so they don't have a stun, which is good. Ult time! Oh god. I don't have backup, so I need to be a little bit more careful. In this case, I'll just go get a rune. I was a little more optimistic on my mana, but then it occurred to me that I didn't. It occurred to me that I didn't switch to int treads. So. Yeah, Linken's definitely has. Like I'd say to you in, like as a default position, Linken's will do a little bit more against those targeted abilities. I wouldn't get Lotus Orb just for its ability to reflect things. But consider that Linken's Sphere is not going to... There we go. That was a fairly decent race. I was stupid to sit on the edge of that Bloodright, but I wanted to make sure I hit the raise. So what we probably should be doing is going up mid right now, but I'm going to follow my allies because it'd be nice if we can get a kill on Razor. He's going to be worth a lot of gold. But yeah, so Linken's Sphere is going to be good on the reflect thing. But the one thing that it's not going to do is remove the... Oh, this is great. The one thing that it's not going to do is eliminate the negative effect. So, like, you know, if somebody puts a silence on me or something like that, a silence doesn't necessarily have to be targeted. So, let's say we've got Death Prophet or Drow Ranger doing some kind of silence. In that situation, you've got, you know, maybe you've got that amazing ult, like your, okay, I'm probably dead, but we'll do what we can. Ah! It's supposed to be targeting Bloodseeker. Oh, God. I don't know what to say. I don't want to blame everything on Reborn, but I'm feeling like I'm hitting heroes and I'm just walking to them. I'm not actually attacking them. That should have been at least a kill on Bloodseeker. Prefer Blink Dagger over Shadow Blade, but it works better on SF for ult positioning. Yeah, well, I mean, the thing about unfair bots is they have instantaneous reaction times. In this case, there's not as compelling of an argument for the BKB. And the one thing that this will do, like, the thing that I'm really thinking about for Bloodseeker is his, okay, I gotta get in here. Let's see if I can demonstrate now. That fight's over. I'm gonna see if I can demonstrate it on Bloodseeker. So the bonus damage that it does, it's 225 damage, and then if you consider his Bloodlust or whatever his Q ability is, that's I think an additional 40% damage that I do on top of the damage that I'm already doing myself. So it's maybe not a one-shot, but it's getting damn close. And then the break is, I think, an underappreciated feature of the Silver Edge. But in this case, in case you haven't noticed, I've learned my lessons from last game. I'm not helping my team, and we're doing slightly better. So hopefully I will do the ult of a lifetime. And I don't get the credit for the kill, but whatever. Oh yeah, so I was talking about Silver Edge. So yeah, there's you know, there's the situation that you run into where it's like, okay, we've got a I really need to have a TP because of Bloodseeker. I could buy boots, actually. I don't think that's the right item, though.
My reach is long.
I think I'll do a Daedalus, actually. Might be a little greedy, but okay. I don't think there's a lot I can do to this fight, so I'm going to go up the mid. Oh, it's Viper. I should have paid attention that it was Viper there. He's actually going to kill them all. So I have a decision to make now. I either go and try and deal with Viper. I think he's going to... you know what? Screw it.
I guess Dyer's courier will never answer for its awful crimes.
It's nice to get the gift. Yeah. Oh god. Another reason. When I get a little stupid like that, it's another advantage of having a sudden invis. I was hoping to find somebody jungling, but looks like they're all barreling down mid again. If only I had a TP scroll. I'm actually not quite sure how to do this. It'd be beautiful to get an ult off. Oh, this will be great. So that was the Silver Edge, the extra 225 damage from it. That was a little wasted because I didn't think Axe was gonna call, or I didn't think Axe was actually gonna get the not the stun but the lockdown off. The God, why can I not remember ability names tonight?
Cut you like cordwood. Into the fray.
His Berserker's Call? Yeah. So the ult was more so for the slow, but whatever, it did what it needed to do. And here we should at least force buybacks. But yeah, I don't know if it was apparent quite what happened there with... so the one problem is if I had Blink Dagger, arguably I might have been able to... Oops, wrong button. Oh, for God's sake, okay. GG. So again, that other big hit that I got on Viper, that was the Silver Edge at work.
Wicked sick.
Okay, now I gotta get out of here. I might be able to do something to Bloodseeker, but I need to make sure that my health is up, otherwise he's gonna see me when I go invisible.
My reach is long.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I do some casting on occasion, so it's nice to be able to... I don't think I'm going to catch him in time because somebody's too low of health. But hopefully this will be a good example of what the Silver's Edge does. There we go. See that damage? Please get him. Oh, for God's sake. I probably should have just chased him. I don't even have mana for my Silver's Edge anymore. Mind you, if I wasn't super greedy, I would also, okay, I don't want any part of that. If I wasn't super greedy, I would have had a bottle to heal up, or, mana up as well, so. I think I'll just be a bad teammate and farm relentlessly. It's not like I can do a whole lot with my, my little mana. I guess I need to decide a new item though. Maybe... Do I really need another, like a butterfly? Not really. Scotty. Maybe help me with my mana. Actually, I mean, I've been split pushing so much, Boots of Travel might be the way to go. Now you want to play some Dota? I have this unique ability of being so terrible at games that I motivate people to play it again. And I always want to try and talk a little bit about strategy, but I utterly fail to follow up on it. I was really hoping somebody would be following that up. So in this case, we'll just kind of push the news. I mean, they're going to do damage to the racks. They're either not going to defend it. I know there's a Bloodseeker there, but chances are there's somebody else as well. I'll let my teammates catch up. There goes half his health. And unfortunately, I'm not fast enough. I might have been able to raise, but I'm sort of doubting myself a little bit.
More death.
So he probably just got healed. Yep.
Performance.
So in that case, I'm perfectly happy just letting the creeps go in. And in this case, I think I've done so much split push, and I think the extra movement speed will be helpful. I don't care if it's wasteful. I'll buy myself some proper boots. But yeah, so one of the way, I mean, especially as a support where resources, at least for me, resources become very scarce, very difficult. I think I will go for a Scotty just for the extra stats. Oh, better at Exhort Invoker? I feel okay with Exhort, although I definitely, I actually really like Quas Wex. It's a play style that I like more. But I feel I have more success with, I feel like I have more success with, Exhort. They are going to feed their lives to the enemy, so I will push the tower. I should actually probably transition to the racks. So they're going to waste their time not attacking that tower. I'm going to move these guys. So again, decision time. Because the creeps are going to be in this area, I know that I'm going to be able to do damage to the racks. So if I can take out the melee. Alright, they are arriving. So might have been better to do the range, because in the end all of that is going to come back, but we also do save the... I'm going to get stunned. Oh, maybe not. So now Omni Knight dies because he wasn't carrying a Town Portal Scroll. In this case, I'm not even wasting mana on him. Oh, Sunstrike, right. That's what you mean by EEE. I gotcha. So decision time here, I'll sell the boots just because plus 10 to all attributes is obviously better. Attack speed, you know, it might be nice to get the attack speed there, but not really. So they're barreling down mid, but I've got boots coming off in 10 seconds. So again, even though I'm a major damage dealer, I'm going to have a similar situation to last time.
Structures are fortified.
This is possibly going to make it? Yeah.
Your middle tower is under attack. That middle tower you used to have. Wasn't it lovely back when you still had it?
Again, I didn't learn from my mistakes last time, so...
A vicious
Actually,
double
this
slang.
is quite low, so...
Quite a spree. And there's a third. Unfortunately, the enemy's mid-barracks has fallen.
So I hear people coming in. I can definitely afford to go invisible, though. Oh, they weren't even coming after me. This is such a bad decision. Okay,
Enemy's middle barracks in ruins.
and I get home in time. Quaswex is literally run around the map ganking and CCing, yeah. Okay, so somebody coming in the middle, so if I can get a good... Nobody... No stuns. So I'll wait till that comes off. Alright, I am screwed. And I don't have anything I can buy, unfortunately. They're all... Right, so I did want to buy something, because this is all money that's going to go away. It's a godlike streak, so I gave him about 1,000 gold. Again, if you're wondering why I don't go with my team, it's because of this crap. The question is it worth buying back? I don't think so. I think they're going to waste a lot of time with our allies here. Or rather, my allies are going to waste a lot of time dying to them.
Your middle tower is under attack.
I mean, now I'm committed to not buying back, but we're probably going to lose racks off of it.
Eliminated.
Exhort Quas feels sluggish, though. Yeah, I mean, I think as long as you can deal with the damage problems on Quas Wex, it's a better build. Man, if we lose this, I'm going to be really upset. Well, no, we probably are going to lose it. We've got a Tiny that went 1 and 16, a Zeus that went 2 and 8. I just didn't think not buying back would be that costly. Okay, let's see if we can make something happen. Oh, that sucks. Well, at least we got the kill.
You wish I never stooped
Well, these weren't bots. You still had ulti. You should have bought back. Yeah. Yeah, in a real game, buyback is a very powerful tool, but I don't fancy adding more to the losses. I kind of wanted to use the TP to go to the top lane, but anything we can do to slow the advance of the enemy is ideal at this point. In this case, it's obvious I'm not going to use buyback, so in this case I'm just going to go and buy the next orb. Okay, so this is probably a lone dragon knight here. That looks like they were trying Roshan. Okay, see, that's another case. I clicked on Omni Knight, but it didn't do anything. Alright, we can fix that. Alright, this is a problem.
Mega kill.
So I think they're still going for Roche. I've never seen a bot put a a ward there. But yeah, it's obvious I'm not going to use buyback this game, so I think I should just complete the Skadi and give myself a little bit more health and mana. I don't go very I don't do this very often, but I think, I mean, relative to the few times I play Shadow Fiend anyway. But
Roshan and the Dire are talking out their differences.
lifesteal makes a lot of sense on that hero to me, so I think Skadi's not a bad choice.
Perspectives.
I kind of wish they would show just so I know. What's going on? Okay. So again, I'll abandon my teammates on this one. Hopefully I can get a tower off of this.
Dire have fortified their towers.
I don't mind tanking this up just because I'm fairly strong now. And here I'll go for safety and just do damage to the range racks.
Whole lot of murder going on here.
Alright, they're coming to murder me.
The enemy's top barracks has fallen.
Between 1 to 40? Okay, this is kind of tempting because it's just 2 of them. I'm not confident though, so... Oh, there's 3 of them actually. Honestly, I think it's better to just keep split pushing. This is insane. I am now literally fighting with 2 fewer players. Actually, this might be... Yeah, I need to go back for this. Oh, I'm fucked.
A quantity of murder, both sick and wicked. Your middle tower has been eliminated.
Problem is, we were gonna lose. We're gonna lose that tower whether I was here or not. I don't think we're gonna last the 79 seconds it takes me to buy back.
Goodness, your top tower is being attacked. Your top tower is falling. You are still trying to stop the spree, yes?
Yeah.
Your top tower is under attack. Your ancient is taking damage. See how your top tower is still on the map? Radiant have fortified their towers.
This is awful.
So if you don't want to lose, I'd advise you to defend your ancient. Your top barracks has fallen. Bad news for your ancient right now. And thus, your top barracks is fallen.
Well, I got my ult off. Holy crap, there's a lot of them. Yeah, the creeps won it. Alright. Well, I think I kind of exhausted any ideas of doing commentary for this anyway, so I've had better times where I've done Dota. I mean, my performance as an individual player was marginally better. I'm not entirely sure what I do
in
in a case like that. This is a great announcer pack, by the way.
Ancient is under attack.
Your ancient is under attack.
Your ancient is under attack.
Your ancient is under attack.
But yeah, so I mean, even when it doesn't go well, I mean, I am supposed to be practicing Shadow Fiend, but I'm not entirely sure I'm... Like, I think at this point I'm just starting to learn bad habits. If I went into a game and I played like that, like never showing up to team fights, and... I mean, the split push obviously gave us a chance at winning. But I think, you know, if I were to have gone into a game like that and played Shadow Fiend like that, it would be very rightly reported. But what I was trying to say earlier is the thing that really interests me about this game is that I think, especially because MOBAs have become a, you know, their own genre. There are people who are getting into Dota 2 for the first time who haven't necessarily ever played an RTS game in their life or don't particularly care for it. And so I think that's translated into a particular focus on individual mechanics. You know, I want to focus on winning. I mean, what I did, right? Winning on my lane and then complaining about how crappy everybody else is for going like 1-18. But the thing that appeals to me the most is that there's a certain type of decision making when you're dealing with a live situation like that, and effectively, it's really interesting that there's, you know, great complexity in the game. You know, there's a large number of heroes, there's a large number of items and skill builds and things like that. But you have this great complexity, and there's certainly mechanics to learn, right? Like I mean, how many kills did I miss those 2 games because for whatever reason I thought I was right-clicking on a hero, but it either was misclicking or I wasn't touching them, you know, so I wasn't hitting the hero or whatever it was, but I mean, kills were missed as a result of those mistakes. So it's something that's necessary for the game, and if you screw up, you lose the game. But in the end, they are all in service to some very basic concepts. Again, where do you get your farm from? How do you maximize your resources? How do you minimize it? And again, it's not an RTS game in the sense that you're controlling the entire army. A lot of that is automated for you. But that doesn't necessarily mean that there are any fewer strategic decisions being made. And you don't have to be a master strategist for us either. Like, one of the reasons I enjoy support the most is because you can have a very large impact in the game while not having a lot of farm. Whereas like Shadow Fiend, you know, if you don't get your farm, you're not going to do anything. You know, if you can't last hit, your damage is going to suck. You might as well be a techies and at least you can put down a mine or something like that. Oh yeah, absolutely, Jordy. One of the main reasons why I stick to support is because it's the job that... I think it's the job that... when there isn't one. So like if there's a game where there's 4 cores being picked, even if I want to practice anti-mage or something like that, I will go for support simply because I find it more frustrating to be an off-laner who, you know, cannot ever hope for, you know, the slightest bit of information or warding or something like that. Than it is for me to, you know, go for another support role. The other reason why I like it is if I play with friends, which I think is kind of the best version of the game, it's nice to be able to have the freedom to be able to make some recommendations in terms of where it goes. Like, so for instance, Peasant, I think I can show his MMR here. Oop, not Mistress 9. I don't remember where it shows MMR anymore. Anyways, he's got a respectable MMR, so I play games with him. If it's high skill, I can usually do okay. If it's very high skill, which we sometimes queue in, I get... He definitely is not 2700 MMR. But yeah, basically, if it's very high skill, then we'll still possibly win, but I'm going to have a very, very large number of deaths. Whereas in high skill, generally I can have a fairly reasonable... I think my kills and deaths are about even, and I tend to have a lot of assists. But the big thing for me is that you don't have to be a master strategist. It's just simple things like somebody bothering to buy the wards and having that information about what the enemy team is doing is the big one for me. So that's kind of the big appeal to that role for me. But I also agree with you, Jordy. Like I very clearly need to work on my mechanics, and I think I've focused. I mean, most played heroes: Venge, Witch Doctor, and Warlock. Actually, incidentally, at least at my skill level, which is not saying much, I have found that I can play Warlock in the off lane sometimes. I mean, I found it like having bought all the support items and then they stuck me solo off lane, but I was able to make it work. And actually surprisingly well. I don't know if we'll ever see him as an off lane. The big thing is that I think people don't always respect the healing power of Shadow Word. So where it seems like you've got a certain kill on a squishy support like Warlock, Shadow Word can actually keep you alive a little bit longer. I guess because it's an unconventional choice, people don't quite know the limits of that hero on his own. So I don't know. I don't necessarily think Warlock off lane is like a really great option, but it's at least viable in how I've played it. But yeah, I guess the thing I'm sort of repeating myself, but never actually finishing the idea. But I think the thing that appeals to me the most is that you can still make these decisions about what is your overall goal. How are you going to get that final move, taking down the Ancient? But in a way, like, you know, Crusader Kings 2, I can hit spacebar and I can presumably come up with the perfect strategy. Dota 2 forces you to think and deal with what you have. And I think the thing that appeals to me the most is that the games that I've enjoyed the most are the ones where it was certain defeat and an unconventional idea turned it into a win. And again, I find that's enabled a little bit more in support, but it's also probably because I set myself up for more situations where I can identify them with familiarity with the support heroes. But yeah, I don't know. It's good. It's in the end, I wish people maybe respected the RTS origins of Dota 2 a little bit more, because I think they're still very much present in the game, and I really like how they've distilled it down to that single, that single focus. Right, it's an entire battle controlled through one character or 5 if you're playing Meepo. A lot of casters like Zeus, Warlock, Lina with decent auto animations can go solo off with boots. Oh yeah, I never even thought about building boots on Warlock. Alright, so it's kind of late, but I'm not feeling that tired. We can call it here, or I think there's one more game that I can do. Maybe it's better if I save it for the... I don't know, guys. I'll get an opinion, because I think there's probably a few more lurkers or people asleep. There's one other game that I can play, which I think would be kind of neat. Or it has been a lot later than I had originally planned, so we can call it and bid ourselves a good evening. I'm happy to do either, but I'll get how people are feeling. I was hoping Dota would go a little bit better, but I also need to acknowledge, like, I don't play Dota on stream a whole lot. I cast it more, and I keep forgetting that any game that I play it much. Well, I mean, there's still mechanics that I need to work on, but I definitely need to, I definitely play games less effectively. On stream. Actually, care what I'll do. If nobody says anything, I will call it for the evening. I'm going to take a minute and look for somebody to host, if there is anybody to host. And if somebody says that they want to hear more, then I can do the thing that I had planned. But I'll at least find out who I'm gonna bring on. I'm on the West Coast. I am. So it's 3:43. Teeny bit of crackle and your game for anything. Okay. Yeah, I'm in Vancouver, so it's 3:43. I definitely should be going to sleep right now, but I've kind of committed myself, so let's see that crackle. Well, I do have somebody I can host, but okay, I'll do one of two things. First of all, I'm going to try Infinity Wars again. And if not Infinity Wars, I'm going to at least... Well, I'll do the opening bits of a game that I've been really enjoying. I was thinking it would be kind of cool to save it for people, but on the other hand, like, the tutorial's not necessarily that exciting. And it'll give me a chance to talk about why I think that game's really cool. So we'll give Infinity Wars one last try. If it doesn't work the first try, I'm done with it. And I'm going to keep the other game under my hat, because I think it's actually, I guess, a pretty good one. But the other thing, too, is that I've been sipping on coffee the entire stream. So I didn't really set myself up for a good sleep. I've actually done all the research that I was scheduled for. The only other thing that I need to do is by the way, I hope that crackle's gone. If it isn't, let me know. So, as far as what I need to do tomorrow, and I technically can do it on Sunday, but I don't like leaving stuff to the last day. I've been working a little bit on, so I don't know if you guys know about a program called Mathematica, but it's good for, it's like a symbolic computing language. So the idea is, you know, you have some function, you know, with a bunch of Greek letters, and it's very handy for doing computations pretty quickly. So the paper that I'm assisting with has a couple of weird outcomes. Like they expect the graph to look one way and it doesn't, so I was asked to sort of iterate. Like, it's really not that hard to do. I just need to iterate over the calculations a few different times. But what I have been hoping to do is actually make a small... Okay. I'm going to have to test this before I try to do it on stream again. So let me just update the... Just going to update the cast. So, I mean, I can just do what I've been asked. I can go and very dutifully pluck away at a computer and come up with 4 or 5 different graphs showing the things. If it still keeps getting those weird results, I'm probably going to be expected to give some idea why it's behaving that way. So it's not completely brainless work. But one of the things I was hoping to do to maybe put some more color on how that particular graph is behaving is to just write a simple function that allows you to, like, has a slider bar for each of the parameters. So that way you can see the graph change in real time. Because rather than just say it's like, oh, hey, but what if we assigned, you know, beta at 0.85 or something like that? Oh, let me go back to Mathematica and write it in. Like Mathematica, you can just write a function that will plot that map for you. That'll plot that graph for you. And, you know, you can assign it to a slider. I don't know, I think it's kind of cool. I don't know Mathematica that well, so I sort of have to teach myself specifically how to implement something like that. But, by the way, I should just warn you guys that I can't read chat at the moment because I forgot this game does not have borderless mode. I should be able to change that, though. But yeah, like, that's literally the only other thing I have to do. Well, no, that's not. I've kind of committed myself to a couple things to do this week. But nothing nothing I can't get around, basically. So, I don't know why it keeps disabling this. Ah, this unsightly bar. I think we're just gonna have to live with it for now. Let me just think there is... I really wish there was a way to remove... I'm just going to take a quick second here to see if the... Oh god, I hope you guys aren't hearing that. I'm so sorry. There is no solid color in OBS. Okay, sorry guys, we're gonna have to live with this unsightly weight bar at the top. Oh, hang on. I thought that was no saves. Uber damage. Let's just stick with normal. What's a cool name for a syndicate? Okay, so Satellite Rain. This is a game that was put into Kickstarter and early access. It's by the guy who made, or well, the team rather, who made Brain, please. Excuse me. It's by the team who made Syndicate. So Syndicate's a very old game. I played it. I actually got it in a. If you go on Origin, they had like. They sometimes give away classic titles, so that was where I played it. I think it's quite fun. Now the thing about this game, so on the blog I wound up writing about this. By the way, what an absolutely fantastic logo. So I first found out about this game because I was watching a Unity demo reel. And this game looked really, really interesting. Like, it looked cool. I'm not going to hit initialize yet just because there's going to be some cinematics to begin with. But what interested me was I took a look at the reviews and everybody basically said it was a great looking game that was unplayable. And so I was very skeptical because of course we're in an age now where there's just this vaporware of early access titles which, you know, sell you the world and don't implement anything. But there's also, if you look at the reviews for this game, there's actually a very clear date where the bad reviews stop happening. And then they actually start turning very positive. Now again, you have to look for this, right? Just look at the negative reviews, look at the ones that kind of get ranked the most helpful and things like that. They're all early access. There's a few negative ones now. Like some people think the game's kind of slow, or some people think that, you know, they heard somebody say, well, you know, it's an open world, but I just don't feel the open world. And I'm like, okay, whatever. You know, I was quite skeptical. Like, I wanted this game to be good because it looked cool. But I also got the impression that they front-loaded a lot of the cosmetics to be able to sell the game, and then they did the gameplay afterwards. And I'd actually ideally like to see early access and Kickstarters be the other way around, which is people have great game ideas, and that, you know, the final visual polish happens as a result of those extra funds that they were given. But on the other hand, like, who wants to take a chance on the game that they don't know what it looks like? Like, I think they had every incentive to sell the game on its visuals first. So, basically, in this game, you play a syndicate, a rival group, who is trying to take down a large corporation in a dystopic future. So, the cinematic will explain it, and I'm sure I'll talk enough over the game, so let us begin our adventure. Let me know if there's any crackling issues too, please.
At cybernetics pioneer, Dracogenics is making headlines with what they're calling instant consciousness transferal technology. But many are already referring to it as resurrection tech.
Investors are scrambling for a piece of Dracogenics. The list of wealthy donors has increased, with celebrities and politicians from around the world jumping on board. The Restech satellite network has expanded globally, making Dracogenics a household name
Allegations
overnight.
swirling today as rivals accuse Dracogenics of trading immortality for political influence. Federal authorities were called to investigate.
Continuing civil unrest today following the privatization of city services. Dracogenics security forces clashed with rioters all through the night and into the
Dracogenics
morning.
CEO Steven Dengler was exonerated today as the newly appointed judge dismissed the charges, calling them, quote, frivolous and unfounded.
Dracogenics have nobly provided their own private security force to assist in subduing the last stubborn holdouts of the city's poor and desperate. They announced the offenders are safely confined to the lower levels of the city where the conflict...
Dengler responded today to claims of a new threat from a shadowy corporate rival. Answering a call to action from stockholders, Mr. Dengler denied rumors of Restech secrets being stolen in an act of corporate
And
espionage.
this just in, we're hearing that city police have apprehended a suspect related to the wave of recent anti-Dracogenics attacks. City security forces have the suspect now in custody after a gunfight with police that left several...
Come in. Okay, comms are a go. Hi, I'm your company contact, providing mission intel and support. Call me Tag. I'll supply data to assist with side jobs. But remember our overall mission here, breaking Dengler's monopoly on ResTech and taking the authority and power it gives him. We're running a ResTech system ourselves, but it's flaky as hell. Its range is limited to our relay beacons, and there are no long-term backups. So if you lose an agent, don't wait all day before hitting upload. It's not perfect, but it might just give us the edge we need. We've re-established a signal with one of our agents, but the others are scattered, so first thing we need to do is to reassemble the team. Voice comms will be minimal for most of the op. Communications are heavily monitored in the city, so encrypted text is our most secure way of keeping in touch. I'll open up voice channels again when necessary. Good luck. You're gonna need it. Tag out.
So we start with basic tutorial. Basically just introducing camera controls. One reason why I wanted to do this after Dota 2 is that it's actually very similar. I much prefer keyboard commands for this one, so I can quickly select between different agents. So you can say good focus back on the agent, or press F when the agent is selected, so I can just click an F like that. Zoom. I mean, when you zoom in, it's not quite as impressive as it looks originally, but I think this is a good looking game. Let's see if your agent's receiving commands. I reset your connection, select the agent. Let's see if the movement orders are coming through. So the basic idea behind this game and this world is that this agent, this is like, so whether talking about immortality and things like that, is you can upload your consciousness and it is downloaded into another body. And so sort of obviously concerns about wealth inequality have become more and more prevalent. I'm almost wondering if the rain effects aren't enabled. Let me just double check under system. No, it's all the way it should be. Maybe up in a covered area. Oh wait, no, there's a little bit of rain. So the idea here is that the wealthy are gaining immortality effectively by buying the bodies of the poor and uploading their consciousness. But with that in mind, you also have these figures. So in this case, this agent, I don't care so much about his body. I care entirely about the skills that he has. And later on in this game, I'm actually going to be able to effectively brainwash civilians, send them off to like the cloning bay, and download an agent into those bodies. So it kind of hits all the right things on Cyberpunk for me, right? You know, you've got rain and neon all over the place. You've got decidedly amoral behaviors. Oops, I need to sprint. All right, your agent seems to be responding to the basics. Since there's a soldier out there, let's get into cover and fire off a few rounds. So this is a little bit, one of the things that I like about this game is that it's sort of like real-time XCOM. So in this case, cover matters. Right now, I do not have a weapon equipped. I will turn red when I do. So what this is trying to get me to do is to pick a weapon. It'll automatically equip, which I'm not crazy about, and then it's telling me to shoot the guard here. So I just right click. This is going to be a little tedious to watch, just because he's going to take cover. There's no way that I can lose this particular fight. Obviously that is not the case on all of the missions, but clearly when somebody is behind cover they are going to take less damage, and when they are standing up they're going to take more. There is a finite amount of ammo, which is indicated by this white bar over here. So clearly this is not the most stimulating activity. By the way, one feature I love about this game is they've added just a very small drift to the camera, and there's a couple of ways of looking at that. You can sort of say, oh, don't forget to put your weapons away after you're out of danger. Nothing draws attention to the attention from the authorities like a big smoking gun. So you can put it away like this. In this case, you have sort of, again, it's not just a shoot 'em up game. You need to be intelligent about your movement. You want to pass as a civilian if you can, but not put yourself in a compromising position where you're not able to defend yourself. You don't actually have to kill everyone to get through. Using the sprint commands, you'll see my energy falls when I do that. And you get a bit of an idea. So, this game is maybe not very obvious in terms of where you're in places where you should be and shouldn't be. So there's an alert meter, kind of think of it like Grand Theft Auto. So the idea here is there's a stealth element to the game. And, again, you can just run in and you can gun down everybody, but there's definitely an appeal to the stealth missions here. So in this case, I don't want to be caught by the camera. And I mean, it's already sort of telling me how I need to do this. But again, another opportunity for just some nice little light effects and atmosphere. In this case, moving from cover to cover is a fairly sensible approach to a situation like this, though once you start going into a complex which is being guarded by a bunch of patrols, it becomes a little bit more challenging. Recon beacons are a nice little way of fast traveling in this game. Also in this particular scenario I wound up getting a second agent, so now I have two. You can always click and drag. Again, it's just like any RTS or any MOBA. You can click and drag your different units. I definitely prefer selecting people by their numbers. I can control A to get everybody, or I can press shift and hit the numbers. So in this case here, I can show you how teamwork becomes a factor in this game. So I'm going to try and open this door here. This is all just basic tutorial stuff, so sorry. It seems like a good way to explain the mechanics. So, this door appears to require 2 terminals to unlock. You'll need some help. Locate another terminal using the world scan ability. Now, the sharp-eyed among you will see, okay, there's another terminal over here. I don't actually need to look for it, but there's an ability that this guy has. I can, again, left-click it, but ideally, the appeal of this game is not to pause the game to do what you want. Again, this is another example of how you can play these very interesting strategy games and have to make decisions on the fly to make the best of an emergent situation. So in that case, keyboard shortcuts are always the best, and in this case this gives me another way of looking at the world, and it shows me what the connections are to this door. So we've got one terminal over here, and if I didn't notice that other terminal before, I can use this view of the world. This guy is known as the support, and it's fairly obvious why. This guy is the soldier well, he is the guy who just gunned down a guard, so I need both of them to activate the terminal. It's best if I can get them to do it roughly the same time. It's not the end of the world if they don't, but support is going to need to sprint to position. Soldier can just walk. Another patrol. You could take him out, but let's attempt to slip past him instead. Stick to cover and avoid being seen. So in this case, I will select both guys. I think the last time I did this, I actually got caught. So let's see if I can succeed at dodging this particular guard. One thing that really interests me from a game design perspective is how you deal with an entity like this. So, this wants to be, in a game like this, you kind of want this to be something of a credible world. So, you don't want it to be, okay, I just saw a guy, I can't see him now, so I'm going to go back on my patrol route. So coming up with I might be hosed. Nope. Let's try here. Trying to come up with a finite state machine that actually deals with the idea of searching for someone. I think we'll sprint. Nice. You know, so if one of these guys had been seen, how do you program, how do you create a series of instructions for this guy to come up with the most effective search? So if he saw me over the edge here, and then I go out of view, maybe around the corner at this point. Is anybody else having choppy audio? Let me try something else. And hey, Antonius the Third, sorry, you have to see the stream in a less than ideal spot. Let me see if I can fix any of the audio issues. So I did the fix that I normally have whenever there are audio issues. I hope that works out, but it looks like the rest of chat says things are okay. So again, this is what originally attracted me to the game, right? There's not, I mean, there's a lot of good looking games out there, but something about rain and neon, you know, reminds you of Blade Runner and all the classics. So, I mean, again, the one appeal here is there's a few different ways of achieving a mission. You are given some environments. Clearly, there are some ways that clearly there are some methods that will work better than others. Let's see. This is just telling me select the terminal. It tells me the chances of hacking this on their own, not great, 39%. So like say this terminal has a higher security on it, requires an agent with level 1 hacker ability, someone like our hacker agent. The hacker is inside the complex awaiting extraction. One of the civilians around here should have security access to the complex. We should identify the civilian and bribe them to get our agent out. Use the world scan ability to identify who has security access to the compound. Oh, great. I'm glad to hear that, Anthonius III. So one comment I should actually make is I almost didn't buy this game, again because of my concerns of the of early access, and I went to Twitch to try and see people stream it, and unfortunately a lot of the people that I saw didn't talk during the game. They didn't talk about whether they liked it, and when I was watching it, it actually looked kind of boring. So I apologize if I am doing the same. I actually think this is a really good game. And this is the tutorial, right? So it's going to be a little dull. But again, this is another sample, let's say, of how you solve problems in this game. You use the world scan to get information about a potential target. But using, in this case we used bribery. We used our financial resources rather than our weapons to get through. And so once you get thrown into the main game, you're going to be faced with these situations where you are given a complex, you're given a few different possibilities for entry, and it's your decide, you might decide that you want to go loud, you just love shooting people, and that you've got a team of badasses. That's perfectly fine. The game will enable that for you. Maybe you want to sneak around, which is clearly what I kind of prefer. I'm not always good at it, but practice makes perfect. And that's just how we there's something about open, I don't know if I'd call this an open world game, but there's something about a game like Skyrim where it's kind of like, okay, we've abdicated. I mean, and apologies to people who like Skyrim. It's not, I mean, I've got a lot of time into the game, but I can't really say I had fun with it, if that makes sense. So in that case, you're given this big environment to do things, but I also feel like I'm not given a lot of goals. Like, there's an insurgency going on, but I know there's not going to be any progress on either side until I decide to do that quest line. Now again, this world is going to operate on its own, but I'm kind of given some very clearly defined missions, and how I achieve those objectives is another question. Oh, you know what? I did the wrong thing. I need to go to loadout. We're still in the tutorial. Oh, damn it. I probably have to go back to the... Yeah, I need to buy the relay beacon. Alright. That's fine. But yeah, I think this one does a nice job of giving you some things to do in this world. and instead just creating environments that are a little bit like puzzles. And whether you want to, hack your way to victory, whether you just want to run in. I mean, you feel like a total badass when you just run in and gun everything down. Don't get me wrong. The game is awesome when it decides to, when you decide to go loud. But you don't have to do that every time. Hopefully I'll give you a treatment of both. So, select pistol augmentation. I do not believe there's a way to skip the tutorial. So, originally I was going to... Originally, I was going to do this on a special stream on Thursday, actually. But I have a feeling I'll probably have enough to talk about in terms of gameplay that it's not bad that we're running through it now. All right, so one thing is I don't have anybody with zipline ability, but you can always force an action in this game. So like, let's say I wanted to use my soldier to hack this particular terminal. I could do that. I just alt and click the item. So in this case, I'm going to force people to use the zipline, which they're not equipped for. And I suspect this is a scripted event, so... And my agent just took a tumble. So in this case, it's a little bit like, I mean, this is a mechanic that's appearing in more and more games, which is you don't just die when you get taken out, you can be revived by teammates. But of course, the important thing to remember here, this is a game where you have, I believe, at most 4 team members. I don't think you can get any more. So not only are you losing a team member when one of them falls down, but you're actually taking out another element of your team to revive them, or you just let them die. But with that in mind, you're actually giving up not just a quarter of your firepower by letting somebody get taken out. You're actually giving up half if you want to revive them. So it can actually be quite punishing, especially if somebody like your soldier, who's normally a tank, gets taken out. So the game's not telling us what to do at this point because we should know what to do when we encounter doors. Again, I definitely prefer the keyboard controls because it frees me up to use the mouse. So hold on, that guard hasn't seen us yet, but you can, if you can get the agent right up behind him, we can hold Alt and right click to take him out in one shot. So in this case, we select the silenced pistol. I'll slowly walk up behind this guard. And a quick takedown. So, time to put your new skills to a test. Blast your way through or sneak past and out the main downtown district. So again, this is a part where, just a nice example. I complain quite a bit. Yeah, this is a stream of just about complaining about how developers seem to be abdicating their responsibility to instruct people how to play the game. I think manuals are becoming sparser and tutorials are, they're maybe giving you a lot of text but not a lot of information. I think Paradox tutorials are a good example of this. Think about what this tutorial has done, right? It's introduced basic conventions of, right-clicking to do actions, alt-right-click to force something. It gives us a terminal here, and it says, you've already worked with terminals before. You should know how to handle this. I mean, if you don't make progress, but it's not rocket science, right? And then it gives you one last piece of information. Here's how you do a silent takedown. And now we're being told, okay, it's your job to figure out how you want to solve this problem. So right now I don't have anybody looking at me, so I'm going to quickly run through. And I'm going to put people in a hiding spot. So it's already introduced a convention of want to know more about something, left click on it. So, I mean, if I mouse over it, it already says disable security system. So CCTV camera networks are used by all the big corporations to monitor the city, and the populace hacking CCTV terminals will temporarily disrupt all cameras connected to that local network. Be aware that these networks have varied security processes, so the duration of the disruption varies. Warning, the corporations send out squads to investigate CCTV cameras that are destroyed. So in this case, I could shoot out the camera, but I will also pay for that. So again, look at my options. I can't go over here unless I wanted to hide. We've got a couple of patrols that I need to worry about, but why are we worrying about cameras? Oh, there's one here. If I didn't know where it was, I can also hit Y, and I can sort of see the connection. Obviously, if this terminal is not connected to that camera, I don't care. Now, if I take a look at this situation, I might actually be able to get through. I might be able to get through the door without worrying, but why risk it, right? So I'll just use my hacker. Next step, I'll just get these guys in position. And again, this is where the keyboard commands become particularly helpful because you can divide your team among different tasks. In this case, I think I'll take all 3. What I might want to make sure is I don't move them into a bad position while the guards are on patrol. So both of them have got their backs turned to me right now. I'll get the hacker to do his thing quite quickly. Okay, I'm going to need to get him to dodge. Looks like they're heading here, so I might have to... I mean, there's no way that I can get around security right now, so if they move past, I pull out my weapons and we have some fun. Ooh. I honestly thought we were done for there. Oh, now they see me. I don't really want to fight this guy. Let's see if I can shake him. Probably not, but... Oh, no. I mean, I have to assume he doesn't keep pursuing you if in the tutorial. But now we're in the actual game. Notice the game. This is another nice feature: is the game autosaves when you the game autosaves when you are in safety. So in this case, you're not going to be put into a hopeless situation. But now we get to do some of my patented reading. So in this case, you've got your missions. A nice thing here, again, you can pick however you do the missions, although I think there is definitely a better way of doing the order of the missions. So in this case, tag. I know you're all good at your jobs. May not want my help, but they hired me for a reason. This place is a tangled mess. Every generation or so, the city just gets bigger, taller, more complicated, and deadly. They build new skyscrapers on the bones of old ones, pile new levels on, and try to reach higher and higher, turning the whole thing into as many tunnels as towers. Corporations run it all, staring at us through neon advertisements with the fat cats living up high and everybody down below them, well, literally below them, downstream, where they all waste drips day in and day out. Dragogenics is the big dog on the corporate porch. It's their city, and we're here to change that. So Project Satellite Rain. Our main target is Dragogenics ace up their sleeve, ResTech, Resurrection, Life After Death. If you're rich enough and important enough, they can save you like a file. When your meat body dies, they just download you into a new one. Rich assholes in suits get to live forever. Poor people lose their bodies to let it happen, fed into the process like factory parts. We know the ResTech is housed in the heart of the Dragogenics HQ. We've got our way to fight there, we've got to fight our way there, one district at a time. Learning everything we can, gearing up, finding the secrets and weak points so we can arm and armor ourselves. This won't be easy. Once we've taken the ResTech from them, though, it'll be worth it. So the way that they divide, again, something to be said for interfaces and the way that they parcel out information. You know, neat little story. I mean, it's a standard cyberpunk story. The rich are getting richer, corporations run everything, people are running in the shadow. You have no idea why this particular group wants to claim ResTech. It may be that they just want to be the big, powerful new corporation. They may not actually have any noble intention behind it. Doesn't matter because we've got a job to do. Underneath it, it's going to give you all of these little sub-goals. So, for instance, we've got Project Satellite Rain, which is explaining exactly why we're here. And, you know, they communicate a little story. I mean, again, this is not Dostoevsky, right? You know, I'm not going to learn a lot about the world playing this game. But I definitely think cyberpunk stories have a bit more of a place now than they did, let's say, 10 years ago. Because, of course, everybody is very concerned about income inequality now. Doesn't mean that there wasn't inequality before. It just means that these stories have a little bit more force when, you know, you're going down the street and you see something like a Occupy Wall Street protest, right? I mean, I'm an econ student, right? So it's not like I always have the nicest things to say about these protesters, because usually if I try to engage with them, it doesn't feel like they have thought things through. this doesn't mean I'm not respectful, right? I don't know everything, so it would be better if I can talk with people, and either I should be able to articulate my position well enough that they understand why. If they don't necessarily agree, then we at least have reached some kind of consensus about where we're coming from. And if I don't have good answers, right? If I maybe had something that I was missing, then I benefit, and I understand the world a little bit better, and maybe that may mean that I need to change my outlook. Maybe that means that I just understand where people are coming from a little bit better. But stories like this are nice because they give us a little bit of an abstraction to view ideas like that. So, another good example of this idea of taking civilians and downloading your consciousness into them. And, you can all, if you want, if you're of that temperament, you can get very philosophical about it. I remember reading a book, and I will get back to the game in a second, but this is a neat little thought experiment that I wanted to share. It's a book by Derek Parfit called Reasons and Persons. Derek Parfit is a philosopher. I believe he's Professor Emeritus now, but it's All Souls College. It's like one of the it's the college that all the super smart people at Oxford, which is already full of super smart people, that's the college that they go to. And he has this neat little thought experiment, which is sort of trying to define this idea of personhood, right? So what makes me me? If I'm just a brain in a vat, am I me? And some people, well, no, there's probably a physical part to you. Or, am I just a soul or a spirit or something like that? It's like, if I was a brain in a vat, would I still be me? It's like, no, there's probably part of you missing. It's like, okay, so there's some physical part of you. It's like, if you chop off your hand, are you still the same person? I'm like, well, no, that seems kind of trivial. It's something that'll change you, but you're still the same person. It's like, okay, well, what about an arm? What about my arms and my legs? And there's no, philosophy sometimes runs into these problems where problems are supposedly big problems are just a result of maybe phrasing a question in a weird way. But you can kind of get it, right? The whole point of this inquiry is to try and get down to some sort of bedrock in terms of where you find personhood. So he asks this question. He says, suppose that there was some transport you've probably heard this thought experiment before, but I believe it's Parfit who first came up with it. So suppose that there's some new transport mechanism, and it sort of disintegrates you, and then you're reconstituted at the other end. So you want to travel to Mars, that's fine. It'll disintegrate you, and you'll reconstitute you at the end. So you go into the machine, and and I mean, sometimes depending on what point you want to make, you might even ask the question here, and you say, are you still yourself when you come out the other end? And I think most people tend to answer yes to that question, though I certainly don't mean to force a conclusion on you. But I remember being terrified by the next line of this one, where he says, okay, and you wake up and it seems like the process hasn't worked. You're still on Earth. And one of the scientists runs up to you and says, oh my goodness, I am so sorry. There was a mistake. And he says, yeah, I'm not there. It's like, no, you're on Mars. You're okay, right there. It's just you weren't disintegrated properly, but it's okay. You'll disintegrate in about 2 minutes. How are you going to feel about that? And I mean, the way the original story ends is like you look up at the screen and you see yourself on Mars. Now that you probably wants to just turn off that monitor and not think about what's about to happen on Earth. The person on Earth has a very firm belief about who the person is. And so, again, I don't necessarily think this game is going to go into... I mean, it could. I haven't really read a lot of the flavor text behind it. But this whole idea, right, of you've got civilians, and I know one of the complaints about the reviews was like, everybody just feels so soulless. I don't feel like I can interact with people. I'm like, well, this is a dystopian future. We've just seen a private police force, round up the last of the poor and put them into slums. This is a very anesthetized population. is it are we necessarily treating them any worse than they're already being treated by taking their body? If they happen to have a set of desirable genetic traits, high HP, high movement speed or something like that, if we just take them and download our agent's consciousness into that body, are we necessarily doing anything that bad? Is there anything really all that different from this guy who's just kind of sitting down, watching TV, eating fast food, and waiting until, death comes? Or are we actually finally using that body for something worthwhile to take down this corporation? So it's all little ideas that just go in the background of these kinds of games, which always interest me. So sorry to give you a bit of a monologue there. I hope that was interesting to somebody. But anyways, as part of the Satellite Rain mission, we've got sort of a submission here of rescue the infiltrator. Bad news. Our infiltrator's been nabbed mid-mission with important intel that we need to get our hands on. Worse news. The bastards are holding all prisoners in a transmission blocking cell. Without transmission access, there's no way we can just upload and flash clone ourselves a new infiltrator. Again, remaining true to the environment, right? If all that matters is your agent's consciousness, why don't you just put in a new, a new one there? Well, it turns out you can't just upload from satellite because they have jammed it. Looks like we need to hit them with a good old prison break tactics. Our infiltrator is on the next transfer list to the CBD prison facility. We need to strike before this happens, or worse, they just kill our agent. Just information. Surprise, surprise, we found a dirty cop. If we pony up some cash, he'll spill his guts about a few security blind spots in the holding facility, which would really help us with our little jailbreak. So the game gives you the option. You can say, if you want, figure it out yourself. If you want a hint, you can pay for it. So I pay $100. Money well spent. According to our contact, there's a secondary entrance on the western side of the complex with an unlocked door that's mostly ignored and half-assed security at best. Although there's leftover crap from the construction project from a few months back, heavy cables that never got electricity pumped through them are still anchored to the building on the southern end of the complex, anchored up high. These would give us a great way over the fence if you've got the right gear, or if you're just willing to take a risk of a 3-story drop. Once they're in, things may not be too hard. Almost any of your agents should be able to manage the rest of the operation and spring our agent. So I activate the ping just so I can see where we're going. This is the downtown police facility, so we go up and to the left, and then of course if we're looking for the western side, we can actually see there is the gap in security right there, although we can always try a frontal assault. I'm not quite sure where we find the cables in the south, but it sounds like that will damage us anyway, so yeah, nice thing, if you want an idea of kind of the scope of this game, I don't have a lot of places unlocked, but there's no loading screens for this. You can go anywhere throughout this cool looking sci-fi environment, and how I decide to approach the mission is kind of up to me. I could decide to try and hack this material. I noticed that there's 2 white dots on that, so I suspect I will not be successful. So instead we're just gonna walk on through. And again, nice little touches here, just, little bits of advertising. It's a nice looking environment. I think I'll just hang over here for a few minutes. One thing worth noting, this comes up a little bit later in the game, but you can hack ATMs. So install a money siphon on the ATM. Now I want to be careful that there's no guards. You can hit Y and see that there's nobody in red, but usually they have flashlights anyway. So now we're going to be making a little bit of money per second. So there's a resource management element to this game as well, but I wouldn't say so much so that you... excuse me.
Alright, we're in business. The company's got me all set up to help us take Dengler down. His control over Dracogenics gives him control over ResTech, and his control over ResTech gives him control over everyone who wants it. I helped smuggle an older version out of their R&D labs, and we're going to use it to keep your agents in the field despite casualties. But that's a short-term fix. Long-term, a benefactor has supplied us with a virus that we can use to take control of his ResTech satellite systems. Ultimately, our plan is for you to get into Dracogenics' main tower to install the virus directly into their hardware. Right now, though, we've got to build up our company's presence here, working on getting you all the gear, money, and tech that we'll need to make that final assault, because I don't think they're going to let us just waltz through the front door.
Okay, so I'm not going to bother reading that mission because I'm already committed to getting my final agent. I could sprint my way, but it's energy is a scarce resource, so I'd rather not rather not waste those resources. In terms of setting up enemies, you've got guards here, obviously. Now, the important thing to remember is I'm just a civilian on the street right now, so I have nothing to fear from these guys. If I pull out my weapons, then there is a problem. But you can sort of see the design of some weapons. These things are going to be a pain if I'm trying to hide, because they can view from on high, whereas these guys are sort of forced at an eye level, so I wouldn't be able to get by with the hiding, excuse me, that I would have done before. So here's a police station. If I was particularly bold, I could try opening up the security system and going through the front door. Now, if I just take a look at the plan, there's a security camera right here. Not necessarily any obvious places where I can get around. What would probably be best is if I open the door, then kind of cut around the corner here. Let's see. Actually, this has a few more exploits than I thought. I think this is the... I think this might be the piping that they were talking about. Wait, is that a ATM? Man, I zoomed in close. There is, but that's level 2. I'd rather not risk the possibility of alerting one. So, I don't like the idea of ziplining these guys just because there's the possibility that it might fail. Likewise, it doesn't seem particularly hard to move through these security cameras, but I did pay money for that information. Now that's a sunk cost, so if going through the front door is still the most optimal scenario, why not? But I have a feeling my life's going to be a little bit easier if I go around the back. So, again, I was talking a little bit more about some of the design things that I really like. I love the fact that there's just a little bit of drift to the camera. I don't know if it's actually making any specific decisions about how it angles it based on where I'm moving, but it's neat. Like, it either has this kind of 1984-ish quality of, always being watched, or, the eye in the sky of the satellite communications relay. I'm not quite sure what feeling it's supposed to convey, but it's neat. Like, it's just this really nice look. And you can hear the music change a little bit. You're now in a place where you are not supposed to be. I don't see any patrols, so good news for me, I guess. But again, the mood has changed, and the music again changes one more time when you go in. So what I'm going to do here, there's really, this is a fairly simple mission. There's not a whole lot for me to do. I don't need to worry too much about coordinating people all at once. Ah, here's a guard. So if I wanted, I could try an assassination. I've already got my silenced pistol up, but this shouldn't be too difficult to get by. So what I want to make sure is that I don't cross into any camera paths, and I want to make sure that I don't let any guards see me. So I'm just going to get into position. I'm going to sprint just to make sure that the guards don't see me. And now I'm basically home free, so I'm going to disable the camera first. Now would actually be a really good time to move the rest of my team into position. Oh, but I actually need to hack a door, so we'll get them over here. What are you doing? Apparently I decided to take a detour. So. Oh god. There's a guard. Fortunately he didn't see me. So yeah, apparently I'm turning a very easy mission into something more complicated. He is headed this way. I could try and move them up, but it's a little late for that now, so I'm just gonna hope that he doesn't see us. It is a bit of tunnel vision. It is dark out, so. And unfortunately, he's got a circular path, so in this case, we will get my hacker to move where he needs to. I also want to keep an eye in terms of how long I have the security cameras for, so. Alright, this is a concern. So I'm going to run him in. I actually arguably just could have avoided bringing in any of my teammates. So we break out the infiltrator. Our agent is out of data, and the prototypes will be safe. So there's a guy here. There's a limited number of things that you can carry. So in this case, the hacker is actually carrying the prototype right now. Again, I just want to make sure that these guys don't get spotted. They'd be able to handle themselves in the fight, but it's better if I can get by without fighting. If they don't turn right here, then I can use my hacker to open up the door. And we are on our way out. I do not seem to be so lucky, though. It looks they are actually going to check on the prisoner. What I could possibly do is go up here, but I don't have a good escape route. I'd have to kind of go through where all the patrols are generating. Alright, we might have to go loud. I'm kind of tempted to make a run for it, but let's see what they do. I also have to unlock the door, so anything that I do will take time. Ideally, they will go through the door here, which they do. So I'll also move my infiltrator. Oh, we got spotted by a camera. And we're busted, so we gotta run. And we should be able to hear the music change. I think. See, I just did the easiest mission of the game. I still succeeded in screwing it up. So this is not exactly horrifying. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about, so, you know, they saw me here. You can sort of see everybody cluster around, and now they're trying to go to the most likely places that I moved. Also notice that I didn't actually get credit for the mission until I successfully left the area and they had effectively given up their search. So, excellent work. Looks like the band's back together. On the way, one of our agents also got their hands on a prototype weapon. It's up to you. You can either send it off to R&D or try to mass produce the weapon, or you can give it to one of your agents right away. Be warned though, we only have one prototype. If your agent is killed in the field with that weapon, it could be tough getting our hands on another one. Purchase information just tells me what I bought for that already. So in this case, I finished the mission. So in this case, we'll move back. We've already succeeded in these ones. So everything that we need for Project Satellite Rain has already been accomplished. So now we'll go to District Downtown. Agents, it's time to hit the downtown district. We're now deep in the heart of the city, and it's the best place to get started. No one calls the cops around here. They're not that type of scum. The rich folks who slum here don't want to draw attention, and the folks who live and work here, well, they know what happens if they talk to the police. No one wants to draw heat to the local black market. Nobody wants to drag outside trouble into their favorite club. And no one wants to be the one who disrupts the natural order. Folks want to come here, have their fun, and get out. The Dragogenics presence here is mostly a group called the Wyverns. They're mercs or gangsters turned corpsec, handling the dirty work for the downtown because Dragogenics proper can't be bothered. Purchase information. Everything's for sale in the downtown district, especially information. If we cough up enough cash, it can give us some good intel. So, I don't quite know what I'm paying for, but generally paying for information is good in this game, so I'll buy. The Wyverns are a bunch of thugs and killers, but somehow they've gotten official corporate recognition, so they're kitted out with the Dragogenics gear, and the reports go through the district office like legit security force. Dragogenics fills the Wyverns' ranks with rookies and washouts, punks who couldn't cut it in their main sec force. There's always gangs of them on patrol, so be careful not to draw their attention. If they try to arrest your agents, just play along, and if you're lucky, you'll get away with a fine or a kick in the back. This is actually another thing to remember. So if you are caught, so let's say that situation, I was caught in a corner. I have two options. I can pull out the weapons and start firing, but it's also possible that if I just stay normal and I don't give them any instructions, they will give me instructions. They'll usually escort me out, and you could pay a fine. You could be, you could be kicked, which does like half your health and damage. You could also probably be executed. I don't think. I've never had that happen to me. But if you comply, they will actually this game is not just run and gun. There are ways to engage in this game non-violently. So, yes, Mecha Fanboy. I did 2 very disappointing games of Dota 2, and I kind of wanted to do this game on Thursday, and I'm kind of already in it. So I figured I'd do a little bit of Satellite Rain, get past sort of the exposition stuff, and move on. So good to see you as always. I'm not quite sure. So I mean, I have some people in chat right now. Definitely at this hour, the chat activity is a little bit of a drop off, but I'm not quite sure how many people are just lurkers. And by the way, to the lurkers out there, definitely thank you for stopping by. I don't do this if people aren't watching. But, I like this game. It's fun to play. I started a new save for stream, obviously, but hopefully somebody's getting something out of it. I'm surprised that this isn't streamed on Twitch more often, actually, because I think it's good. All right, so we bought some information which gave us a second deal. You're half modding a Dota 2 comp chat right now. It's not Beyond the Summit that you're modding, is it? I guess I could check, but... Alright, so... I can't remember, I think I skipped over the part that told me, but there's actually 2 things that you need to do at the beginning of this game. One of them is to set up relay beacons, so remember those things that we were meeting at and we were getting our agents? That's the first thing. There's 9 of them. Again, I can activate a ping to see them. Actually, I think I'll do that now. And the next one is find the information broker. So... One of the most trusted contacts, Jack Rabbit, operates here in downtown. Best info broker you could want. He runs a tight operation, has hooked us up with one of his most trusted informants. I've sent your support agent the informant spec, Miss Monica Delagdo. You should be able to confirm her with support agent's facial recognition systems that run when you trigger the world scan. Our target has been spotted lurking around the Western Gap, or Frankie's Drop, as some locals like to call it. This old pass used to link up downtown proper with the slums, but it's been blocked up tight as can be by new buildings. Frankie, a notorious gangster, used to try to get the jump on folks here in the Gap. Hit 'em Apache style, you know? Old school bushwhacker stuff. Most of the folks call it Frankie's Drop now, when they have a reason to call it anything at all. Oh, that's cool, Mecha Fanboy. I've never actually, never heard of that before, but I'll definitely check it out. There's definitely something to be said for the people. This is one thing I kind of feel bad sometimes about the fact that I do mod for some channels. Not that I don't like it. Like, I definitely owe these people a lot for helping me out. But like, obviously when it's not my channel, I don't always behave that well. I didn't intend to double click that, so I'm gonna be paying with stamina. By the way, I hate it when cars do this. I pretty much have stopped crossing streets if there's any moving traffic around the way, because I have never seen that many guards in one place. Not a time to pull out the weapons. But yeah, in any case, even when you're not, even when you're not on duty, you kind of represent the cast. So, the fact that you say that you mod for EGAD's casts, I've never heard of it before, but immediately, because I like Dota 2, and I like competitive Dota 2, I want to know what it's about. I want to see it. You know what? This was a really dumb idea. I need to see what the closest beacon is, not... Okay, that's not that far, actually. But yeah, so I mean, that comes from the fact that I've gotten to know you in my, my chat. You've always been a pleasure to hang out. And so if you mod for them, that's kind of an implicit endorsement. Now, mean, let's not kid ourselves. I behave like a complete ass in Jesse Quill's chat or Dahlia's or whatever. So clearly, if I say, you know, Ponce is a really great streamer, Ponce definitely is a really great streamer. But perhaps my endorsement is colored by my behavior in other people's chats. I guess I should do a slightly more exciting mission than activating beacons, but... New dossier available. Ah, bank. Yeah, so I could actually do a bank heist. Let's add it to the list. The bank is pretty far north. I think a smart way to do this would probably just be to circle around like this, and then I can... Yeah, so if I kind of follow this S pattern, I can do all the beacons, and then I can wind up at the bank, and then I get the informant as well. You behave the same anywhere, so yeah. It's because you're a good person. This is just an act that I can only sustain for 4 or 5 hours a night. Twice a week, Monday and Friday. So here's a question for you, Mecha Fanboy, if you're hanging out for a little bit. Have you heard of this game before? Nope. Hacking level 2 required, so I don't quite have the skill required for that. I could always try... to go for it, but there's 3 guards here, so I alert the guards if I fail the hacking attempt. I also raise concern by doing the hacking attempt in the first place. So let me just make sure I didn't miss any beacons. Nope. So this is around the spot where I finished on my private playthrough. This is actually a fairly challenging mission. Again, new dossiers available. Basically, as you continue to unlock parts of the map, more opportunities for missions emerge. In this case here, though, I always want money, and this is a level 1 terminal. So I take my hacker, right-click on it, just take a quick cursory glance. There are actually some agents here, so I might need to abandon it, but it's turning the right way, so... little bit of money. The amount that you get from this is not great, so I'm getting 0.38 a second, but again, this is a very big stress on the real-time nature of this game, which is exactly why I like it. It's not Crusader Kings 2, you can't sit down and come up with the perfect strategy. Instead, you make the most with what you have. I think I need to go out and around to get this beacon. Looks like it. Maybe I should stop acting and show you the real Chalky. Well, I will go from 11 viewers to 1. And I'll only get that 1 because they're asleep. And have you heard of who? You're listening more than one source. Oh, so this game is called Satellite Reign. It's a pretty good game. It's a spiritual successor to Syndicate. I believe it is by the original developer, or sorry, original designer. I do not believe 5 Lives existed when came up. Now that you got a few beacons up and running, you can use them to fast travel around the map. Select a beacon and fast travel your agents to it from anywhere in the city. So I'll at least get the tutorial taken care of, but I don't think I actually want to travel through any of them. So left click on the beacon. You sure CPO will stay? Yeah, well, he's played a game with me off hours, so. All right, well, I really don't want to move from this position because there's a nice, again, I've got my little S path here where I can go up and down like this. But for the sake of the example, this is, I think, a great feature. So clearly as I'm walking through the streets, it's not always that compelling to watch. It's a cool looking environment, so like I think the cool looking environment definitely makes the experience of walking through it better. But in the end, right, like if I'm thinking about streaming this game, if I just thought I was going to show you walking the whole time, like you'll notice I almost never keep the characters on the camera because I already know where they are. I'm a little bit more concerned about what's going on around me. So in this case here, this is a nice fast way of traveling. If you've already been to an area, there's no reason for you to continue hanging out there. So in this case, I think these are fairly intelligently placed. They're, these things, Ronin Industries, Wyvern Inc. Well, we already know that Wyvern is associated with the corporation that we're trying to take down. So these are all clearly places where missions might come up. So in this case, I'll go, again, as I said, my priority is to turn on these relay beacons so I can complete that mission. I've got my contact, which is just beside one of the beacons, which is fantastic, and then I can hit a bank to the north. Can't say you've heard of either game. You haven't really played that many of the games that I'm playing personally. Do you think Dota 2 and Shadowrun are the only ones of yours that you know prior to me playing them? Well, personally, that's gratifying to hear. It's not that I go out of my way to, to play obscure titles. But I think I've said on stream a couple of times that I really enjoy sharing games with people. And I think if somebody gets a chance to see a game that they, maybe didn't know about, especially a game that turns into a favorite of theirs, there's something really nice about that. I started off this cast by actually explaining that I was quite skeptical about this game because I originally saw it in a Unity demo. I thought it looked great. That's why I got it. Again, I'm a sucker for Neon and Rain. But when I read the early access reviews, it was all like, this game is really gorgeous to look at, and it's completely unplayable. And then there's a very clear point where those reviews stop. And that was probably the point where the gameplay got good. So, in one sense I'm happy. Oh, okay, now I see why my S-Path doesn't work, because the CSA is in the way. So I guess we will wind up using the fast travel after all. Didn't actually travel us that far, but yeah, so, there is a certain point where you need to admit when you are wrong about things. And clearly I was, my skepticism turned out to be unwarranted because in the end it was a good game. But in another sense, even though I suppose I have some ego on the line or something like that, to motivate me to say this, like, I'm still kind of glad I didn't get to play this game in early access, because I just think, if I was so pumped from seeing that Unity trailer and I'm like, oh god, Satellite Rain, this is like, it's going to be like walking around the set of Blade Runner all day, this is going to be the best game ever, and in spiritual successor to Syndicate, which is a really good game, and things like that, then who's to say I would get the same level of enjoyment that I'm getting out of the game right now if I had sort of this really negative view from the early experience. I am a little lost. So in this case, that's not to say they shouldn't have done early access. I just think it means that I'm not a candidate for its early access. I'm happy to take the the full product. Given the amount of hype most games get, a lot of early access is a very loaded question. You read heavily with your blog post on it the other day. Oh, thank you. Yeah, that particular post came up because the Caves of Koot guy is obviously very passionate about his subject. And so, especially because he took the time to tweet me about it. He actually tweeted me a second time, not realizing that we talked already. But in this case, I felt, you know, whether or not he was asking for it, I felt I at least owed a I felt like I owed a more thorough treatment. Now it actually turns out I'm happy. So Eastbright Bay was getting me a birthday present. That was why he asked me that question originally. So in the end, I was actually picking a game for myself. I'm actually really happy that I wound up recommending Halfway anyway, and it's not because I think Caves of Kut isn't good. It looks really interesting. I'll wait until it's finished. But in the case of Halfway, it's actually a Vancouver studio that made it, and it's actually a really good game. I'll play it on stream at some point. Just Satellite Rain got my attention, and I'm in after hours, so I decided we had enough of Crusader Kings 2 after I had a crash, so I decided to do something a little different. But yeah, I mean, there's no way for me to know. Like, let's say they started running out of money, right? Would they have completed this game? I don't know. So, and again, there is definitely a certain type of person who is good for early access. Like, if you can keep a level of enthusiasm for a game, even past an initial disappointment, then yeah, you're probably a good candidate for early access. But in this case, I think this is a great game. I'm really happy I bought it. And like I said, I'm also really happy that I waited until it had its full version. Speaking of it, I still haven't properly mulled over it and like to properly expand on some of the other words I wanted to talk about. I think I forgot what I was thinking of expanding on to make it worse. I do that all the time, especially when I'm casting. So like, I have no idea why I even tried Dota 2 tonight. Like, I have come to accept that I don't play games as well when I'm streaming. Dota 2, my commentary suffers a little bit because I'm focusing on the game, but even with that focus, I went the wrong damn way. Oops. Oh, you know what? I should take this terminal. But yeah, so even with that restriction in mind, like, I just think the commentary suffers and my gameplay suffers as well. It's not like I achieve what I set out to do on Dota 2 streams when I give less commentary. Yeah, Mecha Fanboy. I mean, the only reason I would follow a company would be because they have an established track record of games that I like, and particularly, like, it's not just that this company usually makes good games, because companies in the end come down to people. So if, I'm trying to think of a game. So Sid Meier, right? If Sid Meier quit Firaxis, I would be interested in the company that Sid Meier was working at. I want to know what the next XCOM game looks like. I want to know what the next Civilization game looks like. And whether he's working at Firaxis or whether he is working... Oh, God. Oh, God. What a terrible place for my hacker to wind up. So here I got a little ballsy about... taking money from the ATM, so I think I'm okay. So yeah, like, I've never had something like that happen in my regular playthroughs of this game. It's specifically the times that I have it's specifically these playthroughs on the on Twitch that I've been doing it. I think also I'm getting a little careless just because I'm trying to get through the walkie parts and onto like a bank heist faster. But yeah, Mecha Fanboy, it is absolutely a split attention. And I don't like, honestly, I would never want there to be less activity in chat. I mean, it's the lifeblood, right? When I am not at my best, people are providing content and making it worthwhile to be here. And it's fun for me, right? I like talking with you guys. But with that in mind, it comes with a cost. This is never going to be a stream about skill. Unless I shut up, at which point, I mean, there's probably nothing more boring in the world than watching somebody else play a video game without context. Again, another reason I almost didn't buy this one was because the streams that I was watching, nobody talked during this game. It just seemed like a really slow, real-time version of XCOM, which was completely unappealing. So, I don't think I'm necessarily making this game seem any more exciting by doing it, but hopefully we'll move on to some activity that makes this a little more interesting. There's only one option, full assault on the bank. Galandir. Yeah, I was gonna say, I suspect probably my inability to do stealth in this game is going to turn it into a full frontal assault on the bank anyway. But certainly it'll get past the walking blues. Thanks for speaking up, by the way. I was always a little curious. You know, it's one thing to see X number of people in chat or X number of people watching the stream. It's another thing to see whether or not those people are actually tuned in, or if I'm just streaming myself. Okay, there's my info broker. So it's maybe less apparent that I'm using the individual skills of various team members. Mr. Lagdo is in our system now. Information in this district is going to be much easier to come by with her on the books. The information broker will now sell us information about what items we will find inside specific facilities. Yeah, no, I agree, Mecha Fanboy. Like, it's, I've talked with some people where they're kind of like, you know, I wish I could... like, a couple of people maybe didn't directly say, but they at least implied that they wish that they could show people that they were better at games. But, I mean, suppose that I could, like, stealth run instantaneously every single mission inside this if I didn't say a word. Like, why would you watch? You know? This game's fun to play on its own. Why would you just watch somebody silently play this game, especially on stealth runs? So, it's probably, especially in a game like this, because it's real time and you need to make active decisions at the moment. It's probably a lot more fun to watch somebody screw up. So, no, hang on. There's important details here. I need to check it out. I think there's an important clue any minute now. You have the stream on your second monitor while you're playing Final Fantasy XIV Heavensward on your other one. Oh, excellent. Do you watch Ewok Fuzzy Nuts at all? I can't remember if you came through with him or not, but he's a fan of Heavensward, and I think he streams it quite well. He's another member of Team Panda. So. Hopefully, the grinding that I do in this game will not coincide with the grinding that you need to do in your MMO. Otherwise, it's going to be a very tedious entertainment vector for you. Alright, I think that's all the relay beacons. Yeah. We have as wide as coverage as we need right now. Good work, team. So this already kind of tells us, you know, this is sort of setting up some content. So right now we're in downtown. We're sort of sectioned off to that. We've got fairly good mobility. There's a little bit of a blind spot here. I don't actually know if there's any buildings. It sort of seems like a lot of this is all blocked off. You know, we've got the Rayleigh beacons that we need. I'm almost never going to go back to any of these. But I may have cause to visit some of these. This is, you know, this is obviously, if you just look at this, right, this is a very heavily guarded area. Looks like Wyvern has got a few different places to hit. But most importantly, we're going to take care of the bank. So, actually, it looks like it, I don't know if I'm supposed to do this particular order. Oh, it wants me to do research, so I'll say start research, pause research. So we've got a few different ones here. I don't really want to worry about getting the extra districts. So yeah, you don't actually want to do from top to bottom. But they do want me to find a researcher. They have delicious goodies in there that you can steal. I don't believe you, but I'm still going to go in there anyway. For logistics and tech support, we're going to need some researchers of our own. We'd get a great start on our own little tech division, except that the chief I've got in mind works for another corp. The good news is he's unhappy there, and any decent bribe will get him out. The target hangs out into the dirty Zen as often as not. His financial records show some major expenditures there for some unpleasant stuff. Barely legit. Whatever floats your boat, you know, but it's certainly not my thing. Once there, we use your support agent's world scan ability to run facial recognition protocols to pinpoint the researcher. After identifying him, pay him, and we'll automatically get him started on any research projects we are running. So I'll activate the ping. He is down below here, so that's going to require a relay jump. I am pretty close to the bank, so we're going to do something fun first. Well, hopefully fun. What is the bank job, actually? It's time to talk cash. We can set up a long-term solution, use our hacker to hack siphon filters into ATMs around the city, soaking up smaller transactions here and there, hiding our theft as a rounding error. But if you were thinking about a larger payday, we pay the bank a visit. Every district's got a major corp financial institution, the legit, supposedly secure economic hub of each district in the city. This is the linchpin each district revolves around. If you're short on scratch and high on motivation, this is the place to hit. Sending our hacker in will allow our ATM siphons to be doubly aggressive, increasing the rate of money trickling in. We can also go loud, send the soldier in to blast the vault, swagger in, and grab all that we can, just like in an action flick. Sounds good to me. Alright guys, we're gonna get some cookies. Ah, so that's where we gotta go. I could try hacking these ATMs out front, but there are security cameras for me to worry about, and they're actually fairly high levels of security. So, fairly high levels of hack, so not in the cards right now. Now, this is a fairly weakly guarded door, so what I would maybe want to consider is the path that I'll take to these. For instance, is this security camera hooked up to this one? As it turns out, it is not. There's some terminal on the other end over here. So the first thing I need to do if I get past this wall, I'm going to need to deal with this security camera. Alright, so it looks like it's basically just a straight... In this case, as long as I can dodge the security camera, it's actually just a straight walk into that area. I'm not quite sure how I handle that drone. So let's think about any other ways that we can get in there. If I go up the main street, so I have a feeling the front door is going to be particularly heavily guarded. So they've got a camera there, which I think I can deal with actually. This is all kind of grayed out too, so I'm making some assumptions. So if I get my hacker around the corner there, I can get the rest of the team in. Oh yeah, it looks completely unguarded because I can't see anybody there too. There could actually be some huge patrols. So in some ways the front door actually seems a lot easier because there's just that one camera. But I have a feeling, I mean, especially with the wide open areas, I don't like the idea of having to go through that, so... Right, probably going to be silent, but too tired to keep burning attention for two sources of audio. Be back a bit later. Oh, not a problem, Mecha Fanboy. I hope the walking wasn't too idle for you. But if I am off before you're back, it's a pleasure having you in here as always. If I'm still playing the game when you come back in, I look forward to having you in. Oh, hang on. Alright, so I'm going to need to improve my hacking level if I want to get in there. So, guess we wind up doing the front door. Again, I don't particularly want to... well, okay, hang on. What's the chance of my hacker getting in there? 39%? Not great odds. So I'll keep these guys in the corner. So my original fears about patrols seem to be fairly yeah, they're not really that tough, so I just need to make sure I don't do anything stupid with that camera. Oh god. Can I use something that's not a hacker for that? No, I can't. So I need to time the hack to get through the door at the time the... Oh god, and there's patrols coming as well. Okay, well, we're hanging out for a bit. So the idea here is I need to time the hack in a way that I can still get through the door but dodge the camera. I'm almost certainly going to use a sprint for this. I'm curious if I go... So if I go right along the edge, I should be okay, but not if there's a patrol. So I think they're going to go upstairs. I hope they go upstairs. And I don't know where that green door goes, actually. Oh, good lord, I hope it doesn't go inside here. Okay, I think it's time to move. Oh. Oh god, the patrols are back. Oh, that's actually where I need to go. It's actually a little more difficult than I thought. Okay. As long as that guard doesn't look where I'm going. Okay. Now I need to sprint. Oh, he's not going upstairs. That's going to be a problem. So hide behind the terminal for a little bit. No, don't go out. So notice I've kept the team outside just because there's no real reason for me to bring anybody else in right now. I need to be able to turn off those cameras. So it should be safe to go once the next sweep of the camera comes by. So just stay under it for a second. Alright. I'm not going to have a whole lot of time to rely on that camera being down. But fortunately, I'm also not going to need to wait for it to sweep by, so... And of course a security guard comes by, so... Please don't go in the door. I wish there was a way to cancel movement orders. I don't think he's seen me. I'm screwed if he goes up here. But I think I can safely run to the... Okay, thought the better of it. I'll just hit the security camera again because I've already wasted half of it dodging that guard. And then ideally I will run down and be able to let the rest of the team in. Fantastic. So again, I do personally prefer a stealth approach. I know it's not always... I mean, I think this is a good-looking game, which is why I feel sort of justified in it. But... And again, notice the music cues. Once everybody's inside, it's... it just gets kind of a nice little... slightly more intense... sound. We got experience, so the experience that you get in this game comes from... performing certain tasks. So if you dodge guards, like hopefully I'm going to do right now. Unfortunately, we're halfway on these security cameras, so we might wind up going loud. They're in for a really big surprise if they look around this corner. Yeah. And again, another change in the music. So we actually want to do this quickly, so let's just ignore... We'll just ignore the fire. We'll get the loot, and then we'll shoot our way out. And the main reason I'm doing that is actually I can fire from a high point. Alright, so... If we... I was going to trigger the alarm by robbing the bank anyway, so... There we go. You're clear, agents. That emptied out the tills. 6,000 cash, 10,000 vault cash, and 140% siphons. So now we just need to leave with the loot. Security cameras are back online, but it doesn't matter because we are blowing this joint. So again, we have the high ground, so there's a little bit of an advantage in this case. We're not even in particularly good cover. You do need to worry about conserving ammo, so you can't just kind of stand there like a bunch of badasses and destroy everything. Oop. Okay, security cameras are seeing me mow down guards. Hopefully that'll make them think twice. We could probably get by running away from this guy, but it'd be nice to sort of clear the area out. Okay, actually reinforcements are coming from that direction, so I think we'll just run for it. This is the music that's coming up now. Actually, I'll try and turn it up a little bit. I think the music that's coming up now is probably one of my favorite tracks. So again, they're still chasing us, and we're still triggering some security alerts, but we are going to be at the front of the building soon. Hacker in the front position just so I can get that extra second. Again, I don't really have any fear that I'm going to die. And that's mostly because we took out the... Mostly because we already took out the... Oops, I forgot. We're still in alert, so they just saw us walk out of the bank. So let's see if we can... I don't think there's any police in the area. So I think if we go around the corner to my beacon, we should be safe. Maybe let's run a little bit. So just wait for the... We definitely got 3 triggers. Actually, 4 for the hacker. She seems like everybody except the infiltrator was at 4. But we're okay. If it autosaves, it basically means the thing is done, so... Mission accomplished. So, I mean... I could have gone in stealthily, but the ending would have roughly been the same. These earlier missions are definitely not particularly difficult, so I don't think I necessarily needed to worry about taking the high ground over, you know, just running and gunning from the very start. But it doesn't hurt to kind of treat it as seriously as you can. Because I can definitely say by the end of the downtown district, when you go to the armory, you're going to be in a little bit more trouble. Each agent has a unique set of skills that can be upgraded as they gain more experience in the field. Skills will stay with your agent as their consciousness is transferred between bodies, and will survive your agents being killed on the field. The ResTech process will degrade some of your agent's experience if you take too long to regenerate them, so be sure that you have the funds to make a quick transfer if needed. So in this case, I only have 1 skill point. So my soldier is... I mean, draw fire is actually not a bad ability, but I think I can get away with weapon specialist. So there's 2 ways of thinking about this. Draw fire is good because it's going to make the soldier a bit more tanky. It will reduce the damage that they take. So cause enemies to focus their attacks on the soldier, and damage received decreased damage received by 10% while the ability is active. So this is actually not a bad ability to have at all. But there's, of course, the other way, which is to say, weapon specialist, increase the damage output of your agent, increase it by 10%. And so the argument here is that you're dropping the enemies faster than they can, damage you. So in this particular case, I'm going to go for weapon specialist. And that's mostly because the previous mission gave me an indication that I'm fairly survivable at the moment. So I don't have any more skill points to assign to him, so we'll see the hacker. In this case, my hacker has a very specialized job. It'd be nice to give him weapon specialist, but in this case we will upgrade hacking so I can take on a few more ATMs. There are some messages that we've been getting over the course of these missions. I've kind of been ignoring them because it'd be nice to do a little bit more gameplay. Just want to see, is there anything in... I guess we should do the Find Researcher mission before we go any further. And... oh, find fresh clones. Cool, our new researcher friend says that cloning bays are back online. Clones allow replacement bodies for our agents. A somewhat brutal but necessary act if we are to succeed. Once you've scanned a civilian, you can select them and divert a small amount of resources to obtain a deeper scan, giving you info on their DNA traits. Once you have a target, use your hacker to hijack them and send them back for cloning. Your clones will degrade after each cloning procedure, so you'll need to acquire fresh resources to keep your agents at their peak, or just keep your agents alive. The markets are full of potential targets. So the idea here is that I will want at least 4 civilians that have good stats, like high health, high speed, high health regen, which will allow me to improve my agents. Again, the idea here is that the agents are actually just a consciousness which is downloaded into a particular body. So I think there's a cute girl at the bank who happens to have some good HP regen. That's fine. It's not her body anymore. It's my body. So that's what this mission is about. They've actually got specific targets in mind. So we've got 2 over here. I don't want to worry about checkpoint credentials because that just means moving to other districts, which I'm not necessarily equipped for. So the last thing we'll do here, you can choose City Surveillance Authority, Ronin Incorporated, Dragogenics Guard Station, Wyvern Incorporated, or Wyvern Incorporated, or Dragogenics Military Compound. In this case, I'll do the City Surveillance Authority. It's time to send a message to the Eternals. Among other pies they've got their finger in, the CSA, the City Surveillance Authority. These are the ones who are always watching over you. Right, that's the last thing we want. They have an industrial district compound that oversee and monitor the data flow in each part of the city, and if we get inside this one, we'll be able to tamper with their facial recognition software, making our lives easier. So this means that the CCTV cameras downtown are going to take 50% longer to recognize us. That means that situations like when I got scanned by the camera are going to take a little bit longer to accomplish. So that seems like a nice place to start. In the end, it just makes my mission, like it makes the other missions that I'm going on easier. So in this case, I can choose to teleport. I'm not going to because there's an ATM on the way, and I now have a level 2 hacker, so it's possible that I'm going to be able to get away with some more hacking. First of all, so that's a level 3 one, so I don't want to go there. Good. Nice little touch of the world, which is clearly trees are a thing of the past, and so nice holographic tree there. I can definitely say I really like the environments of this game. I actually specifically chose... green is obviously a wonderful color, but one of the reasons I specifically chose green is so my agents can just have these nice fluorescent outfits. This is completely impractical. There's absolutely no reason why anybody engaged in stealth operations would want to be dressed like this, but it just looks cool. Alright. Yeah, so... southeast. I have a suspicion my mouse is a little sensitive. I've been doing these sudden runs inexplicably. I'm sure at some point it's going to wind up costing me dearly with lost energy, but for now I don't need to worry about it. So here I'm not going to be an idiot like last time. I'm going to wait for the guards to pass by. I didn't actually need level 2 hacking for this, but it certainly doesn't hurt. Okay, so they got their backs turned. This is a little bit of a concern, but it's continuing on its way, so we're good to go. Again, I don't need to bring my entire team over for that, but we're on our way to a different location. So hold Alt mouse click to force the object. Yes, I do. I did know that actually, Gunladir, but thank you for that, because that's actually something I didn't know when I started playing the game. So that's a tip that I would have definitely have liked a little bit earlier. In this case, I've decided not to force the... I specifically didn't want to force the ATMs in the bank, just because they're a little too high level. But, you know, level 1, level 2, I don't necessarily mind. I think in this case we'll travel to the beacon. Yeah, there's actually an ATM in this ATM. I usually like force hacking just because it's fairly remote and there's not a lot of guards, so even if I fail the hack I can usually get away before any problems. This one tends to have a little bit more security attention, so I just wait. I'm not really in a rush to research anything anyway. I think this is probably, to be honest, this is probably more of a stream where I wind up kind of getting the basics out of the way, so I can have a better, maybe not a better, but so I can have a little bit more of an action-packed stream when I do a dedicated one for this. That actually answers my question too. I was curious if you were here for Satellite Reign or not. Okay, select the civilian. $20 is not a lot to pay for that information, although there's a skill that you can get later on which these stats are okay, but honestly I think the... Oh, no, 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 no. Please don't hijack them right now. There are guards. Well, he knows what I was trying to do to him. Yeah, that was just very careless. Oh, am I really going to have to go specifically for that? I am. Oh, those are even worse stats. Whatever, we'll run with it. This time, I will not do it when there's a patrol right beside me. But yeah, sorry, I was going to say, I was curious if you were interested in, or if you were somebody who played Satellite Reign. I might get caught by this guard. Oh! Well... Screw it. Who needs cover? Yeah, so I remember, I think you probably hear when I was saying this, but I remember I was trying to figure out whether or not I wanted to buy this game, and I went to check out some streams, and I almost didn't buy it from it, so I'm a little worried I might be doing the same to people who are interested, but if you've already played it and know how cool the game is, then I feel better. There's actually a French, so I'm not very good at French, but I would like to learn, and I actually saw a French streamer who I thought was quite good. Didn't understand a lot of what he was saying, but I thought he He seemed like a really friendly guy, and I thought it'd be a really great way for me to practice my French to watch his stream more often. So that was probably the best example that I had of a streamer that I really enjoyed watching play the game. Should just brute forced it from the beginning. Yeah, I don't know. I think my my hacker was actually stopped by the guard. This is so funny too. Like I never fail to be amazed by what suddenly becomes difficult. Like there's no reason why this should be any harder while streaming, right? This is just a matter of making sure that you don't do stupid stuff in front of you just don't do stupid stuff in front of security cameras, right? And yet you know, here I am attempting civilian number 3. Oh, these are great stats, actually. I don't want to... Please don't screw this up. Go for it. Yeah. Regina Boyce, you are now mine. So select the clone. Apply the currently selected clone. So in this case, this is going to be my soldier, who's going to go from a man to a woman. In this case, generally good features. I particularly like this 9% speed boost because there is a tanky upgrade which will also give you a penalty to move speed. This health regen isn't fantastic, to be completely honest. 0.05 I think is one of the lowest you can get other than 0, which is what they currently have. But I'm not going to complain too much about it. These are quite respectable stats. So in this case, apply the current clone. Now, I believe the reason why they make it so that your clones degenerate each time you do the application is basically to prevent you from, you know, using the same buddy again. This is a really neat feature of the game, by the way. It's like, you know, your customization, like, you know, this is just a civilian that all of a sudden has been thrown into, you know, soldier outfit or whatever. If you want, you can actually, like, so this is the person who, I didn't really zoom in, but this is the individual. So if I want, I can just make them look like a regular civilian, but this is a cyberpunk game, for God's sake. We're going to make them look cool in neon. So, you know, I could theoretically go and just find a whole bunch of other clones, but there is actually an ability that the Infiltrator, I think it's the Infiltrator gets, which makes the scan free. So in this case, I'll get by with what I have right now, and we can worry about, you know, we can worry about the fancy stuff later. I can't remember what level this ATM was, but let's go to the relay beacon. And this is where we're gonna bribe our scientist. So again, just wonderful atmosphere. I like these little billboards and things like that. I have no idea what's going on in it. I don't know if they're advertising a movie or what, but it's sufficiently foreboding. Man, what's going on here? I kind of want to see this. This is probably a shampoo commercial. Skull Shark. Coming soon. DaveRaposa.com. Skull and Shark soundtrack by Laser. Oh, Laserhawk. That's a real band, isn't it? And apparently Dave Raposa has done work with Sega. Alright. Seen enough of that. Yeah, so this is a level 2 ATM. Back to AFKness. Have a good one, Mecha Fanboy. I didn't think I told them to go there, but okay. Oops. Oh, damn it. You know what? Screw this. I'm tired of you picking on hackers. I kill police officers because it makes me feel powerful. Also because I really like this music. Nope. There's another cop who's clearly on the verge of retirement. Oh, I don't think he knew I was doing bad things. Oh well. I'm sure our contact's gonna be really happy to see us after all of this. By the way, Geldenir, no, this is not how I normally play the game. I have the pacifist achievements, so I'm letting out my meaner tendencies. Okay, maybe they won't notice all the dead bodies and they'll stop bothering us. Yeah, so I mean, these are some of the features that I like about this game, though, right? Is that, I mean, the action isn't necessarily the most frantic, right? Like, Dota 2 is going to give you more split-second decisions that you need to make. But little basic things like, you know, I want to find the high ground so that I can get a cleaner shot on an enemy or something like that. I have to assume at some point, when we get past sort of the introductory level, that these decisions are going to mean a little bit more. So, I like this game as much for like the entertainment that it's given me right now, but also where I think some of these missions are going. I guess I haven't really shown a lot of the examples of how you make your choices during a particular mission to make it complex. I definitely know that'll happen during the armory, but I also think the CSA one might happen as well. I'll try and do that before I finish, but I'm actually starting to feel a little tired, but we'll get through what we can. Alright, and that's that. He'll get our research and development team running smoothly, and he's just the start. There should be lots of other eggheads and geeks around the city with all sorts of specialties. Let's work on recruiting whatever we can and get them to our side. So one drawback about the scientist thing is that you kind of have to be like this for a lot of the time. I might as well hack this terminal while I'm here. So obviously, if I don't remember to turn on this view to the world, then I'm going to wind up missing out on the opportunity to hire some scientists. Speaking of which, I've got a upgrade that I can put on my support guy. Yeah, so World Scan level 2 gives me a 50% discount, and I believe level 3, which requires 2 skill points, yeah, 2 skill points, will be what gives me free scans. But yeah, the one drawback is that there's no, you know, if I don't find this a particularly compelling view for the game, then I'm going to miss out on opportunities to hire people, or bribe them, or however you want to put it. So, I'm not entirely sure how I would do it differently. Like, obviously you don't want people with a big sign, "Hey, I'm a scientist," to, you know, to be going around, because then it's just silly. But I'm also not entirely sure this is the the most satisfying way to look for scientists. I forgot that's a downtown one. I don't think there's any... Yeah, there's no info that we can buy, so let's just take a minute to see. Yeah. So I'm going to assume this is Wyvern, which is a separate group, and I'm going to assume that these indicate that there is no crossover between these two areas. So I'm not sure if these are doors, but that has some potential. I can check that. I should just be able to mouse over it and see. If that's a front door... No, that can't be. That's a big wall. Is this an opening? This has to be the opening. So yeah, I'm assuming this is a back entrance, so it's probably better to start there. Well, there's a doorway. But I don't know what the deal with this thing is. Maybe that's where these security guards come out of? So I guess that's not a side end. Oh, hang on. Level 2. Okay, perfect. That's exactly what we're looking for. The alternative... I mean, I'm kind of committed to that now, but I believe the alternative would be frontal entry. So this isn't actually so bad. The security camera is over here, so we've got sort of a sneaking path around the edge. This seems a little bit more of a conundrum. Alright. So I need to make sure that I've got 2 agents to take care of this. Does it give me any incentive to use one agent or another? No. I think these are like level 0, so anybody can use them? Yeah. So I don't know, I guess maybe soldier and support, throw the hacker and the infiltrator in there. I guess it won't make a difference because they don't have any skills. So team goes in, team goes to the... this seems like a safe enough area to hide. Hacker moves forward, and where is the... I'm missing where I turn off the cameras. It can't be up there because I don't have the option of going up there. Maybe I'm wrong. So then I suppose the question is, how do I move up there? There's also a terminal. Okay, so I'm actually going to make this a little more complicated than it needs to be. Team goes here. Hacker moves up. First of all, accesses this terminal because it's probably going to be the only time we're in there. And then I think I just need to move the team one at a time, dodging guards, so I can get them in position. Maybe it's better if I keep them in these 2 areas. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I suspect this will probably just end with me shooting a lot. But we can pretend I'm gonna do it right. At least indulge me in the fantasy, okay? Okay, well this is an auspicious start. We almost walk straight into a guard. Again, really love the music cues. Oh, for God's sake, are you serious? I am very good at my job. I think we could just hide around the corner here. Ah, this is amateur hour. This is the last mission. I'm done. No, they remember me. Screw you. Okay, I might have bit off a bit more than I can chew. That was decidedly optimistic on that guard's part. I guess the plus side is I may not have as many security guards to worry about. I should see if I've got a beacon nearby. This will have to do. Oh, alert level 2. I guess we can walk to the... I've never actually had to use the thing when I'm in alert, but I guess I need to let the whole thing clear off. I mean, half health is not the worst thing I could do the mission on, but I've been wasting a lot of ammo just butchering poor police officers, so... I guess I could have gone here. Okay, let's see if I'm really as terrible as I seem to be. One thing I noticed, I kind of have had the wish to rotate the camera on a couple of times, but I'm not entirely sure that the game would actually be any better for it. I think that's more, it's almost, well, okay, actually that's not entirely true. There are a couple of times where I could benefit from the vantage point. But I actually kind of get the feeling that the game works well enough with its like with its fixed view. I think I probably just want to see the environments a little bit more is what that comes down to. Alright, get your hack on. Please say there's no security guards waiting for me. Well, it's one of those jokers, but I should be able to get by. Okay, at this point I think we sprint. You blew it! Good lord. Alright, so this is a problem because I actually want that. You know what? This has to be context sensitive. Because when I was over here, this was a big, long, single column. This is an item that I want to interact with, though. I'm almost certain that they've put in some little indicators about how the camera should be moving based on where you are on the screen. That's actually a really nice touch if they did that. You can rotate the camera about 45 degrees to each direction from your current position. What's the default command for that, actually? I had no idea that that was able... Oh, you know what? This thing is probably going to catch me. Ha! Stupid bot. Hey, what do you know? Nope, you're absolutely right. That's really cool. Thank you. Immediately after I say, you know, how the default views are perfectly sufficient, and I think it's, you know, just me wanting to see more of the world. But it's nice to know I have the option now. Alright, don't screw this up. That's some MLG infiltration right there, hacker. Oh god, and then I walk right into the... Run away, run away, run away, run away. I believe I may be in a bit of a pickle. Well, he spotted me, but I don't think he knows where I am. This is the worst hiding spot in the world, though. Alright, something's going on with this bot, and I don't like it. Again, when I think about... I mean, it's very clear what's happening. The guards are sort of trapping the bot into one pattern of behavior. But when I think about trying to design behavior, like, to try and come up with a patrol that is credible, but doesn't make it impossible to fulfill the mission. So, like, these guys could just stay... Well, I mean, maybe not stay here, because I don't care, but, like, if these two guys just stand in front of the access points, you know, I'm not going to be able to finish the mission unless I gun everybody down, which I clearly have. Oh, am I exclusively streaming on Mac? Yes, I do have a PC. Okay, now I'm really confused as to what this bot is doing. You know what? This is a waste of my time. And of course I immediately get spotted. I'm an idiot. So I'm a Mac exclusive streamer because while I have a PC, it is like a donated PC basically. It's an old AMD with about, I can't remember if it's 2 or 3 gigahertz. So like the processor isn't terrible, but it's definitely old-fashioned. 4 gigabytes RAM and like a GeForce GTX 275. So like I got Dark Souls 2 wanting to play it and it laughed at me. Whereas this Mac is, so I'm just going to be starting my I'm going to be starting graduate school for economics, so that's fairly heavy stats work. So, you know, I want something that can run R well, do regressions relatively quickly. So, you know, in the end, I wound up getting a computer that was, you know, better. It's a Mac just because I was thinking about a Linux solution, but then, you know, there's some Mac things that I like, and, you know, there's a Unix underpinning on it. I know Macs are not always the most, like, they're not the cool thing to get if you know about computers, but you know, I'm happy with it. I think their laptops are good, so I bought a Mac. But I'm also not an idiot. I made sure. Well, at least the droid is not trapped. So long story short, I also made sure that, you know, when I got this machine that I put a good video card inside of it, because I also like gaming. You know, it is very much a school machine, and I intend to use it for that. But you know, I made sure that I could do. I think I am caught. We're going loud. But yeah, so I basically got something that I could do some gaming with, because streaming was becoming a bit of a factor. Oh, that's a lot more guards than I thought there were going to be. Okay, I kind of screwed that up. And I'm probably going to actually kill my guy. Run, you daffy! So the hacker's gonna drop, but I can pick him up. Ah, nice work. The Eternals will be pissed about this for sure, but more importantly, with the district relay station jacked up, security cameras all through the district will be slower on the uptake. Fantastic. Get into cover, you foolish man. So yeah, anyways. Wanted to make sure that I had something that could do... Streaming was becoming kind of a part of my life when I bought this computer, as... Oop. I didn't quite want people to move there, but fair enough. At some point I'm also going to get to that terminal. Maybe it'd be better to run away first. Oh yeah, I'm dead. They are not raising the people they need to raise. I got what I deserved there. Alright, well at least I can say my Mac thing. I am very obviously tired. I don't even care how much it costs. What a beginning to the stream. But yeah, so I wonder if I lost stats, actually. I believe I should have. Oh wow, that's actually a really big drop. So she completely lost her regen and her... she completely lost her regen and her speed bonus. Interesting. I haven't actually died in my regular playthrough before, so... that's a fairly substantial drop. Alright, sorry Anthonius III. So yeah, this is a school computer. Streaming was becoming part of my life. Got something that made sure that I could do a bit of gaming without necessarily compromising it as a school machine. So as a result, I could possibly still stream on the PC, but the video quality would be even worse than it already is. I wouldn't be able to play the games that I want to for the most part. And, you know, there's some limitations in terms of the software that I need to use, but as a whole, I'm pretty happy with how it's turned out. So, with that in mind, guys, I am definitely I've pushed myself a little bit further than I should have. I have done about the length of a regular cast that I do in addition to my other casts. So I am going to call it for tonight. I'm sorry to sort of be a bit more lethargic at the end, but it was really great having you all in here. It's really nice to have some new faces. I will be doing more Satellite Reign in the future. I'm not quite sure when. I'm actually going through a big playthrough of Shadowrun Hong Kong first. One nice thing about that game as opposed to Satellite Reign is that it gives me a little bit more opportunity to read out the dialogue, which I definitely enjoy hamming up. But I really like Satellite Reign. I've been loving it on the single player. I'm not sure if I want to continue this playthrough or if I just want to start over again because I've been kind of screwing it up. But I don't know. I'll decide that. I'll decide that later. But it was great to have some new faces in here as well as seeing some old faces. It was a lot of fun having, or sorry, I said that before. It was a lot of fun having you guys in here. I hope to see you again. If it's not quite your thing, I understand that as well. But I do seem to have a few people in the chat still. So what I will do before I finish off for the evening, I'm just going to take a look and see if there is somebody that I can host. And hopefully it's something that's along your guys' interests. But if I don't see you again, definitely it was great having you in here and the time that you were there, and I wish you the best of luck in finding something that appeals a little bit more to you. I can always recommend my peers on Team Panda who are just on the link beside my name. Well, we did Dota 2 today. It's actually mostly Dota 2 streamers that I see. So I will host. She's a fairly well-known personality, so I'm not really doing anything new here, but I will host Sheever. I don't actually know this individual, so there's not going to be a raid or anything like that. She's a fairly nice streamer, does hosting for some tournaments, and so probably, I don't know, I'd say maybe around my skill level. So, you know, somebody who's a little bit more chill. Oh, Anthonius, thank you very much for that follow. All right, that's quite a few people who followed tonight, so thank you guys. It was great having you all in here, and I hope you guys have a good evening. Enjoy Sheever's stream.